This is the radio home of the Cleveland Browns. 92.3 The Fan. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
92.3 The Fan, 2020 Sports.
Now the Guardians entertain the Tigers this afternoon game, one of their wild card series at Progressive Field. Gavin Williams going to start for Cleveland, and skipper Stephen Vogt explains why the Guards going with the big righty.
Gavin's been incredible. Obviously, we've talked about him all year long. Just the strides that he's made, the development that he's come along with. From the start of the year to now, it's just been incredible. He's incredibly fun to watch. And, so a lot of factors, obviously, the way Gavin's been pitching, but also it keeps him in turn and doesn't, push or alter his routine by much.
Derek Scooble's going to start for the Tigers. The Clubs begin their best-of-3 series. First pitch at Progressive Field is set for 108. Cavaliers considered by many to be the favorites to win the Eastern Conference this coming season. Donovan Mitchell and how the Cavs just need to do what they need to do.
You're excited to be back, ready to go, locked in. It's kind of at a point now where it's just time to go get it. You know what I mean? I think for us, not really worried about where we're seated, where we're slated. We got to go out there and handle business. Doesn't matter if we're number 1, number 8. At the end of the day, we got to handle our business. So I'm excited. The group's excited.
Cavs meet today on Monday. Darius Garland said his rehab from toe surgery is going well. However, Garland would not put a timetable on his return or if he could miss any regular season games. Previous reports say Garland could be out 10 to 15 games to open the season. Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski would not give a direct answer when asked if he's sticking with Joe Flacco this week. Flacco had 2 interceptions and lost to fumbles. The Browns lost in Detroit. This week, the Browns in London to face the Minnesota Vikings. Browns off today, back to practice tomorrow in Berea. Monday Night Football is heard right here on 92.3 The Fan. The Bengals lose to Denver 28-3. Bo Nix passed for 2 touchdowns, ran for another for the Broncos. Meanwhile, Miami beats the New York Jets 27-21. Dolphins get their first win of the season, but receiver Tyreek Hill suffered a dislocated left knee. Reports this morning say he also suffered multiple torn ligaments in that knee. Don't miss the Kevin Stefanski Show tonight, 7 o'clock, right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next, time for the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
All the Browns and NFL news you may have missed at work. The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. 92.3 The Fan. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
Everything you guys have been through, you should get to party twice. You get punched in the face, and every time we punch right back, we get up and we fight. Division freaking champs, boys, and we ain't done.
Line drive, base hit, right field. Bo Naylor breaks the tie. Jose scores. Manzo scores. 4-2 Cleveland.
Sharing these moments, they never get old. Man, I'm just so happy to be able to do it with this group of guys, the way we fought this whole season.
Left field, near the line. Long run for Quan. Oh, what a catch he just made.
Special. I think momentum's a really important thing, and hopefully we can all remember this feeling, remember those swings, just the momentum of what we got. I think we're going to be dangerous.
Rocked, high in the air, deep right, Perez back, at the wall, he's out of room, it's out of here, Jose Ramirez.
What does Cleveland mean to you?
Cleveland is the best. I love Cleveland.
And Cleveland loves you.
It's my house. Cleveland is my house.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio. 92.3 The Fan.
Why stop there? Partying twice, let's make it 3 times. You beat Scooble again 3 times in what, couple of weeks, Daryl?
Go 3 for 3.
Why stop at 3?
The last 3 weeks.
Let's party 4 times. Let's party 5 times. The beauty of baseball postseason. Cleveland, we welcome you to the 2025 MLB playoffs, the wild card round, and we are not too far away. We've got, 7 hours to go before first pitch. One of the best, if not the best pitcher in baseball, going up against Gavin Williams today, and more importantly, the bunting will be back. The playoff atmosphere will be back. I know they still have some tickets remaining, but you better pounce now if you want to get down there and share in this experience because, Daryl, I'm sure you agree. I know Owen agrees. Mitch wouldn't know. There's nothing better than playoff baseball in Cleveland.
It is the absolute best. I can't wait to get to the ballpark this morning after the show. Going to head right on over. Taking the game. We'll have some coverage on YouTube for you after the game. But, I mean, how can you not be pumped? Out of nowhere, the Guardians chased down the Tigers 15 and a half games back. They rallied to win the division. They are the division champions for the 13th time since 1995. The Tigers are the wild card team. They have beaten Scooball twice in the last 2 weeks. Trying to, like I said, go 3 for 3. Gavin Williams going to be on the bump for the good guys. Gavin has pitched well against the Tigers of late. Won his last 2 outings, 23 strikeouts combined in those outings. So, if you can't, here's my thing. If you can't get excited for today, and I know that there's just, we talked about it yesterday, there's this like sliver of Guardian fan out there. It's like, well, they're not going to win the World Series, so I can't get excited. Like, then you're missing the point. You're absolutely missing the point. This is arguably, I think March is pretty close with March Madness, but this is the best time of year. Your team playing in late September, early and into October, with your season on the line, doesn't get any better than this. That ballpark is going to be electric today.
It's going to be rocking.
It always is. Fans are going to be up out of their seats with every pitch. They're going to be clapping. This is where I miss John Adams banging the drum.
Do we have an update? I know Curtis is coming in about 40 minutes. Do we have an update? Because, they've in the postseason, in the absence, RIP of John Adams, they've had the guest drummer, right?
Celebrity drummer.
The celebrity drummer would be a nice touch. Look, Daryl, this is a city that knows how to act. This isn't something new for us. I think it's part of what has driven that vocal minority to be louder and louder as you get spoiled by the success. And, going to the playoffs is not something that you should ever, really in any sport, take for granted. I know, like in the NBA, it felt like for years everybody makes the playoffs, whatever. But I don't care what sport it is. You make the playoffs, you have a chance to do something special. You have a chance. And especially in baseball. We had Anthony Castrovince on yesterday. And we were like, oh, well, you got the teams up here with these payrolls, and we know you got to hit the ball out of the park come playoff time. But as Anthony stressed, nobody knows. You can have all the talent on one end. You can have all the money on the other. Hell, you got teams like Texas and the Mets with all their payrolls, and they are watching the Guardians today.
Yeah, they're sitting home.
They get to sit at home. Mets fans get to sit at home today. And what Francisco Lindor gets to sit at home today and watch your team, Jose Ramirez, Quan, Gavin Williams, they get to watch your team play playoff baseball. Never take it for granted. Never take it for granted. Because you're still playing. Your season is still on.
The fact that you bring up Francisco Lindor having to watch the Guardians on TV today, that's actually really delicious to me.
Come on.
That really is. I mean, I'm not saying I hold a grudge, but I might hold a grudge when you just, want to go chase the bag and you don't want to, do what Jose... and here's the thing. That's why Jose is so beloved here, aside from the fact that he is a future Hall of Famer. And he is arguably the best player or one of the best players in franchise history. But he took over $100 million less in market value to stay here. Because, and you heard it in the open that Owen put together.
It's beautiful. Nice job, Owen. It's great to hear.
Cleveland is my home.
Where do you ever hear that?
No, you don't. And especially with guys like Jose. And I always bemoan the fact that I don't think Jose Ramirez gets the love and respect nationally that he gets within Major League Baseball. He's widely respected, of course. But I'm talking like nationally. I mean, you're seeing Donovan Mitchell start to pop up in some of the NBA promos and ads and TV stuff. Like, you don't see a lot of Jose Ramirez in the Major League Baseball promos and ads. And you know what? You should. Mm-hmm. You should see Jose. He's what's right about the game. He does it the right way. He plays the game the right way. He's a tremendous player. Does a lot of great stuff in the community, okay? And Major League Baseball does what Major League Baseball does, and that's stub their toe when it comes to promoting their stars. But, having a team like the Guardians with a player like Jose, that is great for the game. This just in. There are more markets than just New York, Boston, Los Angeles, and Chicago. And the sooner that Major League Baseball embraces that, I think the better the sport is going to be. But I can't wait to get to the ballpark this morning?
There's going to be a hustle and a bustle, a buzz in downtown Cleveland. It's always awesome to see the weather. Absolutely beautiful, right? A little chilly this morning, but it is going to be perfect baseball weather, right? We're in good shape. Oh, look at this. The sun, 75 degrees.
1 o'clock game, you're getting sun washed until like third baseline, they'll start to get that shade around.
Will it play a role?
Yeah.
That's right. I love breaking down playoff baseball. We get to talk about where the sun is and how it's going to affect the game.
Got to get to Scooble by the 5th inning because once those shadows start creeping in from the toothbrush light poles, going to make it hard for hitters late in the game.
Folks, if you're just listening from out of market, we in Cleveland understand playoff baseball. I want to get a check on everybody, how they're feeling right now. 216-474-0092. Maybe
you
some
want
people
a vibe check this morning.
Well, that's an afternoon show thing. Sure, we'll do a vibe check in honor of Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin. By the way, Peterlin, congratulations. The second baby came in. So look, we're all going to be paying attention today. I know some people are not happy about the time of the game. And it's like, look, it's Detroit, it's Cleveland. You know, you aren't in a major market. I got to say, for me and for this show, it's a pretty good time. It's a pretty good time. It sucks if you have to work.
I love the 108 start.
So this show's probably not going to be
the 8:08 start in the game ending at midnight.
I know. It does suck. You know, most normal people will have to be working today. And so it's going to be the same thing tomorrow. And then what, Thursday, do we know?
To be determined.
Yeah.
Just because you don't know how many game threes are going to happen. If there's a lot of game threes, then it'll be a 108. If there's not a lot, there's a chance it's a 308. If it's the only game three, maybe it goes to prime. So to be determined for game three. But, today and tomorrow, 108 first pitches.
Well, we've got cameras in the studio now, and you can check us out on YouTube. 92.3 The Fan. Because of the cameras, Owen can't smuggle in his beatboxes. So,
that's why I stay off camera.
I know. It feels like if it were a proper...
It's an 11% morning, Anthony. I'm ready to go.
If it were a proper pregame show like the old days for the Browns, I might be having some fun early. But because of the cameras, we can't do anything. Just a gut feeling right now around the room because you are underdogs. And it makes sense. You should be underdogs. I know they collapsed and you seized the moment. You made history. Scooble, you beat them twice.
You should be. I got to correct you.
Okay?
You should be underdogs today, but I don't think you should be underdogs for the series. You give Scooble his respect, okay? 2-time Cy Young Award winner happening here. But the Guardians did chase down the Tigers to win the division. So I do feel like maybe the Guardians should be the favorites in the series, but they should be underdogs today because of Scooble.
So isn't it just because it's such a short series?
Yeah.
It's best of 3 and winning this game. What are the odds? What are the numbers, Mitch? Get the crack staff on it of losing game 1 of this newfangled wild card and being able to still win the series. It's obviously going to be very difficult. Do you know what is the formula to beat?
In the in 5-game series, we've seen down 2-1 win the final 2 games in the series to take it. In fact, unfortunately, here in Cleveland, we've had a few instances where the then Indians were up 2-1 in a series and ended up not advancing. We've also seen the shoe on the other foot. 97, they were down 2-1 to the Yankees, won the final 2 games in the series. To advance. So
you're saying don't put everything on today.
Yeah.
Saying you could still go out there, have a professional approach, but
let's not
Scooble could get the best of you and you still don't count them out. They could win the series.
Yeah, if they aren't able to get it done today against Scooble, let's not be having a funeral tomorrow morning.
And yet I feel like that will be the feeling. That's why I know it's tough. It's tough. You don't want to put too much pressure. And I guess that brings me to the other question I had this morning. Where's the pressure? Where's the pressure today?
I think it's on Detroit.
So you think it's on the Tigers?
It's 100% on Detroit. They've got their Cy Young winner on the bump, okay? If you don't win this game with your Cy Young winner after choking away the division, you're cooked. You're done. All the pressure, at least from my standpoint, I think all the pressure's on the Tigers today. 100% on Detroit.
Let me throw a wrench in all of that real quick. There's only been 12 of these series. It's only been for 3 years. It's the 4th season. 10 of the 12 series have ended in 2-game sweeps. The other two series that went to 3 games, the winner of game 1 also won game 3.
So you cannot lose, according to history. Short history.
Lose. History also says you cannot come back from 15.5 down. And they did it.
And they did it.
There is a first for everything.
It's the reason that in July I was on the bandwagon. Look at the schedule, right? Look at the team that's in front of you. If there's a team that you have owned more in the last month, it's the Detroit Tigers. So why not? Why not be able to do it? All 3 of them are at your home.
And
ballpark.
so you got to be thinking that's in their heads.
Yes.
And boy, Owen, you brought it up yesterday, and I think this is something that's impossible. And we'll have some sound because they opened up the clubhouses yesterday. We'll have sound coming up next segment from both sides, but this is the scene of what was a huge incident, accident, whatever it is, last week. The David Fry situation, and that is the last time Skubal pitched.
And take away the Fry situation, right? You still have one of the most embarrassing plays in Major League Baseball last season. Or this season, sorry, when he hiked the ball through his legs. And then he gave up the lead off of infield singles. They gave up 3 runs off of infield singles, right? Like, it's not just that you can take the Fry thing out of it. They were in his head. They've been in his head the last 2 starts. See if he clears it out. It's playoff time, right? He also, the last playoff start he had was
we remember
against
that one. Yeah,
it was game 5, and they went out and won that game as well. So they've had a good history against a guy who's been one of the best in the majors.
Kevin in Cleveland, how you feeling today? It's playoff baseball, and we are back.
I feel like we own the Tigers. We are in their heads. You guys have just finished saying it. We have beaten Tariq Skubal when it matters. And today it matters to him because he's got to prove that he's still that Cy Young winner because the last 2 performances by him, it doesn't really look like he is. So we got to go out there. We got to win those first 2. We got to get in our groove, keep our guys healthy, and go make a fun push because realistically, we won't see the Yankees until the ALCS. So we got to go play some teams, play some baseball, and win the whole thing.
Kevin, where are you watching today? You getting out of work?
No, I got to listen on my headphones. I'm building the zoo today, so I got to listen on my headphones. But I will be supporting all week.
Kevin, before you leave, powering them top 3 animals.
Yeah, what are they?
Top 3 animals.
Tigers can't be one of them.
No, tigers are one of them. I think top 3 animals right now. I've got orangutans up there at 1, the most interactive. We've got the wolves for sure, and no tigers, huh? We're gonna have to go the bears, bears.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Thank you. We'll mix in some summer hack zoo topic.
Well, we got to get it in.
We'll mix it in.
He was really crestfallen. He couldn't include tigers, though.
you better be careful watching that baseball game around the orangutans. Because what can seem like lighthearted, playful fun, all of a sudden you could have a face transplant at the Cleveland Clinic.
I saw that movie with Matt LeBlanc and a monkey. I know how this goes.
Just be careful. That's all I'm saying. All right. I want to hear from Guardians fans. Are you making your way down? Are you filling up the park today? How are you watching? Are you allowing your kids to take off school? Problem is, it's all week. You know, it's another game tomorrow, and hopefully the series is over and we're moving on after that. But not so easy. I mean, that's a lot of work you got to make up. And it's going to be put to the test. I wonder how many kids we will see there. 216-474-0092. We'll continue that conversation. Who is the pressure on? How optimistic are you about today's game and the series in general? And is there going to be a quarterback change? Did Kevin Stefanski cement that they are going to the backup, Dylan Gabriel? We'll have analysis. Our Browns beat reporter is in for Ken Carman, who's in Disney World. Maybe we'll hear from him today. That's all straight ahead, plus John Greco at 8. We've got Todd Derry at 9 o'clock. Curtis Danberg joins us in studio in about 25 minutes. Let's go, Guards. Playoffs going to get underway today here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
ymca.org for more details.
Traffic is light 90 east from Crocker to Euclid Avenue and 77 north from Wheatley to East 9th. This is Joe Checkeye for 92.3 The Fan.
In your weeknight with the best segments of the day. The Fan Rewind. Weeknights at 11.
I think it's a mutual respect. We both play clean baseball. We both play solid, and we have fun. We have fun when we play each other. I think just because you're a rivalry doesn't mean it has to be ugly. It has to be angry. We both want to win. We both play hard, but there's such a high level of respect between the teams, and that includes the players. The players have a high level of respect for each other, and they're trying just as hard as anybody. They want to win just as bad as anybody. It doesn't have to get angry and ugly.
All right, that was Vote yesterday, talking about this rivalry between these two teams. But it doesn't stop there. By the way, clean baseball. It was definitely not clean baseball the last time Skubal butchered that inning with not one ball. Nary one ball hit out of the infield, and him snapping the ball through his legs. I think Detroit would say that was clean baseball. Just very uncharacteristic, and
I think he was referring to bench clearing brawls.
Well, that is it. No more Mr. Nice Guys. Is that all in the past now? Because the pressure was on. Guardians needed all those games. They won all those games. Detroit was in the middle of a total calamitous.
They went 7-17 in September. Their big time social media fans were screaming their heads off.
It was a free fall. And so I wonder if that all the veneer of, hey, we're all nice guys, we shake hands, we offer each other rides, that thing goes out the window starting today. Meanwhile, here's Skubal yesterday on the challenge of pitching in Cleveland.
I enjoy pitching here. I mean, the environment's great. You talk about postseason baseball and the noise and kind of the chaos and the rowdiness. I think this place kind of embodies all of that. So I enjoy playing here.
And I do think it'll have, obviously, that playoff feel today. Here's Skubal also reflecting on what went down with the pitch to Fry.
Stuff like that is scary, and that's real life stuff. People don't think of our sport as a physical sport as you might think like the NFL, but stuff like that can happen. It can be life-changing. Luckily, I think it's all been pretty positive for him. The only negative is, he can't play right now, and that's something that, I feel bad about. I obviously want, him playing.
And finally, vote on why he offered Skubal a ride.
He was asking how he could get over to see him, and I was just about to leave and walk out to my car. So it did what any other human being would do, and that's offer someone a ride where they need to go.
It is a weird scenario all the way around. And now Skubal has to go back out there with his team's season on the line. And look, they're not able. I'm sure they're not just dismissing what it feels like in Detroit right now. It might be, maybe they're probably feeling, hey, it might be better to get the hell out of Detroit, where it's all negative vibes right now. But I do wonder, he's got to go out there and pitch again. And that crowd, hey, it was awesome that you showed such respect to the game and to David Fry. They're going to be all over him today, as well they should. It's playoff baseball. It's time to act like it. The nice guy stuff is out the window. I'm fired up because I think it's going to be tough for him. I think that pressure and that crowd is going to be all over him.
I can't wait. I think Progressive Field is one of the more underrated venues in Major League Baseball when it comes to game atmosphere, when it comes to playoff atmosphere. They talk about Fenway Park and Yankee Stadium and Dodger Stadium and Wrigley Field. I think Progressive Field is one of the all-time great playoff atmospheres in Major League Baseball. I really do. I just the fans, the game operations, to get the fans into it. It's electric. That's the only way I can describe it. It's electric in that ballpark in October. Well, I know we're still in September here, but you know what I'm saying. When it comes to playoffs, it's just the atmosphere, in my view, is really unmatched.
Well, so the next question is, last time out, I called it the bunting brigade, which is you sent everybody up in that sixth inning, and they were bunting, They were squaring up, doing whatever they could, right?
Yeah, I mean, look,
manufacturing runs by any means necessary.
Let's be real. It's not like they slapped Scooble around.
No, they haven't hit him that hard.
These last 2 games that they beat him in, but they made him. They found a way to beat him, and I am confident that they're going to find a way today to beat him. I don't think they're going to be taking him out of the ballpark with regularity and things like that.
This is, folks, Daryl Ryder is optimistic about going up against one of the best pitchers in baseball today. That's what the Guardians, that's the profound impact they have had, especially with this run.
Owen is downing beatboxes. Me, I'm optimistic. What else can you ask for?
Only one of us has changed our habits.
So, obviously, the last time they went up against Scooble, the lineup, David Fry was a designated hitter.
Right.
So, he's not going to be available today. What are you doing? What's the approach if you're the Guardians today? Do they think they can get lucky like that again? Do they think, because there was some luck involved
they're going to have to
last time around.
They're going to have to play smart, clean baseball. They're going to have to get a little aggressive on the base pass to create some opportunities. They're going to have to do the get them on, get them over, get them in thing, which is perfectly fine. I think that has to be the approach, because if you're sitting around waiting for the 3-run homer, I think you're going to be sitting around waiting a long time for the 3-run homer. That just isn't going to happen against Scooble. So get them on, get them over, get them in. Be smart on the base pass, be aggressive, If you're seeing the third baseman play back and, you've got a 200 hitter up there, lay a bunt down the third base line there and force the Tigers to throw you out.
Is anybody expecting any surprises in the order, any surprises? Because, you're trying to play hot hands at this time of year.
Right.
And look, the lineup and so many of your players. I mean, we talked about this yesterday. You got guys that were in Columbus, at the halfway point of the season. So
CJ Kafis is one of them.
Well, that's another one.
Chase Delauder could be.
What was the deal with that yesterday? In position to be on the roster,
giving themselves options. Stephen Vogt was asked why a couple of these kids were. He said, "Hey, we're just giving ourselves options while finalizing this roster for the series." And smart approach. Have them here ready to go in case you want to go with them and make them eligible to be used in this series. The Guardians are a very smart organization, and I don't think that they get a lot of credit for that as well.
They do for me. People are probably sick and tired of me talking about
Anthony Dolan.
Yeah, I give them praise around every turn, and it bothers that vocal minority. At least, my God, I hope they're a minority. A day like today, they better be a minority.
Yeah,
because this is an organization that even when they made the Naylor move, on paper I was like, what? But I'm like, the Guardians. I always give that team the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, and your rotation for the series, obviously Gavin Williams today. Tanner Bybee, Slade Ciccone going to get starts for Cleveland in the series. I really love their chances, even if they don't. And I know what Owen said. I know your numbers, Owen, and it's never happened. But there's a first for everything. Even if the Guardians can't beat Scooble today, I think they win the next 2 games in the series.
It's not like I'm giving you numbers since 1906. It's 3 seasons, right?
It's what'd you say? 16 series or 12?
12 seasons.
12 series.
We are going into our 4th season of this format
this
of the playoffs.
This new iteration of expanded wild card
it's
madness.
Better than having to play Tampa one time like we did with Danny Salazar as a rookie on the mound. You know? We've got Gavin Williams, who has shown to be, but the thing we've talked about all season with the pitchers is like, do we have an ace? Who's the true ace? Is it Tanner Bybee? He's kind of the guy that you depended on to eat the most innings as a starter. But Gavin Williams has come on. He had the near no-hitter a couple months ago, and since then has really looked sharp. Didn't fall off after that, and it wasn't a one-hit aberration type thing. It's going to be a good series, It's 2 games, potentially 3 games. They've got to come out and handle their business, and it's playoff baseball too. So we're out of the starters going to the 7th or 8th. starters go to the 5th or 6th inning now.
Yeah.
Well,
and then you move on to bullpen.
Especially in a series like this.
The leash should be very, very short.
But that's also part of it. Gavin Williams, last time out, he went and struck 12 guys out. And, he went, it's 6 innings, only gave up 4 hits. Like, you're feeling better and better about these guys, especially high leverage situations, whatever. But you also have a bullpen behind you that you feel comfortable with. So I do think the great thing about this series, because you can't worry about the ALDS or anything like that and what could go down on the weekend. Like, it's all systems go. But that is where I think a lot of the confidence comes from, especially against their lineup. I know they got 3 guys with pop and that, for 3/4 of the year, they had been a potent offense, but it doesn't feel that way right now, especially against our pitching.
Well, there was a point in time where everyone was just going ahead and sharpieing the Tigers into the World Series. There was a point in time where they were the quote-unquote team to beat in the American League, and then the wheels came off the wagon. And they are no longer the team to beat. They're the team to beat.
No, yeah, they're not the big bad Tigers at all. I mean, it felt that way through much of the season. Now, that cloak of invincibility,
right,
that is long gone from them. And the fact that, Scooble, if it were any other time, I'd be like, well, how are we gonna piece together how are we gonna play anybody?
Well, the reason
against him, and I don't feel that way right now.
The reason I'm so confident is because I think that the Guardians, with the intelligent way they play the game against him, they took the cloak of invincibility away from Scooble these last 2 outings. And again, they didn't pound him, but they did just enough. They played smart baseball against him. They forced he and the Tigers to make uncharacteristic errors and forced the action a little bit, and it paid off for them.
Well, that's
what they're going to have to do today.
Yeah, this is why you're feeling so good about this team. They didn't back their way in to the postseason. It's not just a collapse. You had them 6 games. You had their ace.
You took it
twice.
From them.
And you did.
The Tigers are the ones that backed their way into the postseason.
They really did. To the point where we were wondering, did they even celebrate? We're partying twice, as Vogt said. Why not? We got to do it a couple of times. Detroit, very, very muted celebration. As well it should be.
Right.
In a situation like theirs. All right, when we come back.
Yay, we get to play more baseball and lose more games. Hey, have some champagne and beer.
All right, well, we've got Curtis Danberg. Perhaps he can bring us some champagne and beer, because we can keep it on ice until, maybe about 3:30, 4 o'clock today. Is this going to be a quick postseason game, or is this one of those? Well, I just wonder, in the playoffs, are they enforcing the pitch clock nearly as much? The batter's box, are they enforcing that stuff nearly as much? A little bit different situation today with the playoffs on the line. 216-474-0092. Curtis Danberg is coming up, and we'll let you hear from Kevin Stefanski. Do you think a change is coming at quarterback? Many do. We'll get down to the bottom of that coming up here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
It's October.
Absolutely. It means a lot, and we take it very, very seriously. But for 4 hours a day, these guys get to go be 12-year-old kids and play baseball. And that's what we talk about. We emphasize that all the time. This is a game. Go have fun. And you play at your best when you're relaxed and having fun anyway. When you're tight and tense, it doesn't help anything. You move slower when you're tense, and you have to move fast in this game. So we try our best because everybody feels it. We all know what's at stake, and that's why it's fun. You go embrace that and just go play baseball like you have your whole life.
What an opportunity today for the Guardians, opening up the 2025 MLB playoffs here at home. And we have in studio, watch us on YouTube, we've got the rally towels, and Curtis Damberg is in studio. He brought these by. Thank you, Curtis.
You're welcome. Here we go.
We are rocking the red today.
Rock your red. Pack the park.
It is a chance. So there still are some tickets available.
Yeah, tickets available for all 3 games, and get down early. Gates open at 11:30. First pitch at 1:08. Be in your seats by 12:30. So get those permission slips from your boss or your principal or whatever it takes to sneak away and be a part of it.
Yeah, I saw, and I'm curious how the team feels about this, because I love, and I do a morning show, so this isn't exactly real life. It's not like I'm going to be, toiling from 9 to 5 and have to figure out how I'm going to get away. But when you saw the schedule and the 1 o'clock games, again, I absolutely love them, but everybody in my life, they were not happy. They were not pleased. We'll just put it that way about the state of affairs, because the permission slips. I mean, we got to get kids out of school.
Listen, if there's a week to play hooky, it's this week.
That's what
the
I think.
weather's beautiful.
Yeah, and apparently our friends over in Menor, they're going to be home from school anyway because of
That's where I grew up. So I talked to the superintendent and say, hey, let's try to make something happen.
Yeah,
so
coordinate.
Well, I think we know what happened. I think all the bus drivers are going to the ball game this afternoon. That's what happened.
Could have led to the shortage.
Everybody in Menor, go to CLEGuardians.com or your ballpark app, get tickets and come down.
Yeah, so I think it's an awesome thing to have day baseball on a day like this. I get how it's not easy for everybody.
Yeah, we understand that. We ran into that a few years ago. We had a wild card game against the Rays. We didn't sell that out, and that was a Friday. So now this is a Tuesday, and we've had 2 days to plan and get ready for it. So certainly get it, but hey, at the end of the day, I know that place is going to be rocking, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So definitely rock your red.
Well, and it felt like a playoff atmosphere last weekend.
Oh, unbelievable.
Huge walk-up crowds that were filling it. Saturday night was sold out, right? So it was awesome to see.
Friday and Saturday
were sold out, and
190,000 plus for that homestand.
Yeah, it was the biggest final homestand we've had in over 10 years. And, Stephen Vogt kind of put the gauntlet out there to the fans on that Sunday.
He issued the challenge.
And they backed it up.
I was telling Lima, I don't think that Progressive Field gets enough credit for the playoff atmosphere. Everyone wants to talk about Yankee Stadium and Fenway Park and Wrigley Field and Dodger Stadium. To me, there's no ballpark better than Progressive Field in the playoffs. I want to say October. I realize we're still in September, at least for another couple hours here. But there's just no better, for me, atmosphere in Major League Baseball when it comes to playoff baseball than here in Cleveland. I think that it's just such an electric atmosphere that you guys create because of the ball club, but also too at the same time because the fans are into it. Are we going to hear more the late great John Adams? I know you guys have recordings of the drum. We all miss John.
Oh, absolutely.
We all miss the atmosphere that he helped create. Are we going to hear more John Adams drum?
Yeah, we bring
this
that
afternoon.
It's part of the experience still. I mean, we have the recording and. We have the drum on the scoreboard to get people fired up, so there's no question that that's always been a part and will continue to be a part of the experience.
Now, you said get in the building by 12:30. What kind of special situations are you rolling out today to make this even feel that much cooler that we're into the playoffs?
We have the giant flag, of course, and we'll have all the player intros, and Lonnie Chisenhall is going to throw out the first pitch.
Lonnie's in the house.
Chisenhall had a big moment a few postseasons ago. There's a person singing the national anthem by the name of Danielle Danberg.
I've heard of her, and I've heard her do the anthem before.
So she'll be performing.
Always nice.
Colonel Scott Allen's going to perform the God Bless America in the 7th inning stretch. So, hey, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be great energy in the ballpark.
Well, it's what I also love that, this team and this new manager, right, got a chance to experience this last year. This is not going to be some, oh my God, I'm looking around and the moment's going to be too big. Like, these guys are used to it. And by the way, the last 3 weeks have felt like the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, have they not? Look at the pressure that they have been playing under, and yet it didn't feel like that was getting to them at all. In fact, I think it kind of brought the best out of them, especially the kids. Like, the kids seem to be just fine in this situation.
Well, the players, they owned it. I mean, Kwani said 3 weeks ago, the playoffs start today, and it's been that, and we've been on that run. But you bring up the kids. I mean, time and time again, somebody has stepped up, whether it's CJ Kafis or Jonathan Rodriguez the past 2 games. Guys have gone down, and others have stepped up, and that's what it's all about.
Quickly, since we have two veterans, Daryl's been going to these games for years. Obviously, Curtis, you've been affiliated with the organization so long. And if we can, Owen, with a power rank that I think would be appropriate today. I love putting Curtis on the spot. You mentioned Lonnie in a playoff moment. And we've had these before. We've had some pretty cool moments over there at that field, whether it was called Jacobs Field or now Progressive. Your top three moments that you can remember in the postseason over there. Carnegie, Ontario.
So Rajay Davis. I mean, Game 7, with where we were, improbable against Aroldis Chapman. Sandy Alomar in 97 off of Mariano. We were about ready to be exiting the playoffs, and he goes down. And, Jim Thome. Now, granted, that was him throwing his bat after that homer towards the Braves in 95. So those are probably my top 3.
Tony Pena didn't make the cut.
He's right there. But
That's
I was
one
going there, number 4.
Yeah, honestly, that's
We're
one.
doing all throwbacks.
Because that started it.
Grand Slam?
Well, against who?
Gonzalez to walk it off?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of memories.
Pretty awesome, Curtis. This is a fun time of the year. And what are you telling people to wear red?
Rock your red.
Yeah, rock the red.
Pack the park and show off your rally towels.
You're upside down there, Lamy. You got to flip that over.
Oh yeah, you're in distress right now.
Oh, that's bad.
That's a bad sign, right? That's a bad omen right there.
No, we got to get with the program.
Fixed it. Start working in the shoulder. Got to get the motion going.
And tickets still available. So if you're wondering last minute if you got the permission slip, get on down here. It's going to be a special.
$49, including fees.
And get in their heads. You've already done it. You've already been able to get in their heads.
Scooble's talked about that energy and how loud it can be. So let's bring it.
For a week.
I have felt the stands shake in that building before.
Absolutely.
So let's bring that kind of energy this afternoon.
We need it.
Let's make the stand shake a little bit.
All right, Curtis, Vice President Communications, Community Impact with the Guardians. When he's in here, we know it's a big weekend, and in this case, a big week.
Yeah.
And hopefully, it'll roll into next weekend as well. We feel like they got at least another week in this team, and why not? Daryl said yesterday, he corrected me. How about a month?
Yeah.
Why just
not?
a week? Let's keep it going.
This season has made no sense, so keep it rolling.
Well, that's kind of like my whole theory right now. Nothing makes sense.
No.
It's all positive. It's all great. Out of nowhere, no one... Well, okay, Owen had him coming back from 15.5 down, but I think that was...
until they were 12
never to be done
down.
in history until now.
I think those were the beat boxes talking at the time, but, it doesn't make sense what the Guardians have done, and I am convinced that to end the World Series drought, it's going to come out of nowhere. And so why not this year? This came out of nowhere, so why not?
I'm with you. Go Guards.
Of course. All right, Curtis Danberg, thank you. And we love when he comes in because it means it's a big series. It's a big gathering. And I think it's going to be deafening today. I said, no more Mr. Nice Guy. No more Mr. Nice Guy with Scooble. It was a great story at the end of last week. Now you got to get him. Now that crowd has to be going absolutely bonkers, and I know they will. They're going to be. People are saying, can they chant David Fry? Is he going to be a part of this? Because I didn't realize he was out of the hospital so fast that he was with the team already.
Yeah, he was waving the flag on Sunday, which was really cool.
So that's going to be awesome.
By the way, Jose planting the flag. That was freaking sweet. That was right up there with 1995 when Mike Hargrove and the team, ran the flag out to center field. that Jose planting the flag, that was amazing.
And hopefully we can build some new memories. All right, when we come back, could there be a quarterback change? The door was left open yesterday, and our Browns beat reporter in studio for Kenny today thinks there may be a change after all. We'll get to what Stefanski said when we come back. Plus, playoff baseball, it is back here in Cleveland here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
3. Bo Nix passed for 2 touchdowns, ran for another. Denver snaps a 2-game skid. Meanwhile, Miami beat the Jets 27-21. The Dolphins, first win of the season for them, but receiver Tyreek Hill suffered a dislocated left knee, and reports this morning say Hill also tore multiple ligaments in that knee. Don't miss the Kevin Stefanski Show tonight. Starts at 7 o'clock right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
All the Browns and NFL news you may have missed at work. The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. 92.3 The Fan.
I understand the question. We have to play better as an offense. We have to coach better on offense. It's not about one person. There are so many things that we need to do better, obviously quarterback included, but this is not about one person.
Is that a yes then? I mean, are you sticking with him?
Yeah, my focus is on making sure this offense plays better.
All right, non-committal, but the door left wide open for a quarterback change this week. Kevin Stefanski, they're pressed by the local media. Scott Petrak was there. Didn't end there. He got a follow-up.
Should we assume that a change is possible and you're just not willing to address it at this time?
Yeah, I just would tell you, I understand the question, and I understand the scrutiny that comes with the position, but we have to play better as an offense. We have to do a better job at all positions, including coaching. That's really what I want to get across.
So again, non-committal from the head coach.
That's a non-denial denial.
It is. Everybody just assumed that means they are making the change, at least what I was seeing on social media yesterday. We welcome on in the baseball playoffs, first hour. You can check it out. And we will be talking much more baseball today as we get closer to first pitch today. Lonnie Chisenhall throwing out the ceremonial first pitch over there as the Guardians try to do the unthinkable, continue history and beat Scoobel for a third time. Meanwhile, the football team, worst offense in football, one of the best defenses in football, a 1-3 record. They trade for an offensive lineman yesterday because their tackle situation has been such a disaster. Daryl Ryder is in for Ken Carman.
I think calling the tackle situation a disaster is just way too kind.
How would you describe it?
I don't think I'm allowed to describe it on the air. It's been that bad.
Can you mouth it to the cameras on our YouTube Live?
No, I don't think I can do that either. It is beyond spectacularly awful. They are now going to be 5, maybe 6 deep at that position, and we're only going into week 5 here. But they had to make the trade yesterday with the Houston Texans to get Robinson in here, who is a former second-round pick of Jacksonville in 2017. He's only played 2 full seasons in his career. Dealt with injuries. There was a 4-game suspension in there back, I think, in 2023 that he had to deal with for, performance-enhancing drug policy violation. KT Leviston and Cornelius Lucas have just not been good. That's the only... Nothing personal against those guys. They're great guys, but they've not been good. They have been turnstiles.
I think they've graded as 2 of the worst in the NFL.
Yeah, so for as bad as Joe Flacco has been, okay, for all the scrutiny that the offense has gotten, and to Kevin's point that he made when trying not to actually answer the question that he was asked, because if they weren't making a change or if they weren't considering making a change, I think Kevin would have just said, Joe's our guy, because we've heard that from him in the past when he's asked these type of questions, right? Working through it. Joe's got to be better. We know we got to be better, but we're just got to plug away here. He didn't do that yesterday. Very, very clear. He didn't do that yesterday. But he is right. This isn't just a Joe Flacco problem. And yes, Joe has contributed to the offensive problems that have led to them averaging 14 points a game, which, if you were listening yesterday, I told you, historically bad. The 2000, the 1999, and the 2011 Browns are the three teams that average worse scoring per game than we're seeing right now. Those you're talking rebuild/expansion era numbers that they're putting up offensively. That's embarrassing. That can't happen, especially when you have a offensive coach, in air quotes. I say that with all due respect to Kevin Stefanski, but he is an offensive coach, right? And they've not been able to make anything work. This isn't just a Joe Flacco problem, though. It's an offensive tackle problem. It's a wide receivers are dropping the football when it's hitting them in the hands problem. So there's got to be some help there for Joe. The mobility issues are very real. I'm not denying that. And okay, maybe if you do make the change to Dillon Gabriel, you get a little help there. But I'm concerned that, okay, Dillon Gabriel might escape the initial pressure, but he's eventually going to run himself into trouble.
I do love how Dillon Gabriel over the last 4 weeks has become Michael Vick. Has become Lamar Jackson.
Like, he's going to save the season for the Browns. The third-round pick, who's about 5'9" and weighs what I weigh, is going to save the season for the Cleveland Browns. And that's why I was trying to make the point yesterday. I didn't articulate clearly enough. Yes, it matters who's starting at quarterback. Of course it does. But I don't think it matters in the realm of it doesn't improve the Browns' chances to win games. It doesn't move the needle enough for them to win games, at least in my opinion. And I hope I'm dead wrong about Dillon Gabriel. I really do. He's a great kid, extremely bright and intelligent. The organization just absolutely loves this kid.
You said he speaks their language, right?
Yeah, and he does. He speaks Andrew Berry, Paul DePodesta, and Kevin Stefanski and Tommy Rees. He speaks their language. And again, I hope I'm wrong. But I don't think that this kid is a franchise quarterback in the making. I don't think he's a regular starter. I think that there is an opportunity for him to have a Colt McCoy-like career where, okay, you're a backup.
Who had plenty of good starts, too.
Made a lot of money. Again, I'm not insulting Dillon Gabriel by saying that. He could have a very good NFL career. He's just not a franchise guy. But I'm not putting this on Dillon Gabriel like he's going to come in and save the season here if Stefanski ultimately decides to make a change. But based on his responses in the audio we just heard, Owen play coming back there, Anthony, I think a change is coming. Whether it's this week or next week, I think a change is coming.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I heard the audio and I'm like, all right, he's keeping it open because why bother? Like, everybody knows the situation. Everybody knows the offense is not working with Joe Flacco and certainly not working with those tackles. Now they're trying to remedy that with the move they made this week. Who knows if, Cam's even going to be available for this game right now. That is to be determined on the short turnaround after getting traded. But the receivers have been abject disaster. You got another injury there with Cedric Tillman.
And here's the thing. Are we surprised by any of this? Legitimately, are we really all that surprised?
I don't think we thought the offensive line was going to be this bad.
No, I'm talking about the receivers. Yeah, you mentioned are we really
I think people expected more out of Judy because of the production last year.
Okay, but Ced Tillman, I mean, the concussion last year slowed him up. He had that great 6-week stretch where he went off, and so they were really hoping he was going to take a leap this year. It's unfortunate. Kevin mentioned yesterday, Ced's going to miss some time now. That's really unfortunate because I really felt this was a big year for him. This is a big year and an opportunity for him to really take that leap and show that 6-week stretch that he had last year, he could take that to the next level. And now, unfortunately, that is on hold with this injury. But are we really surprised they have problems at receiver? Are we really surprised that they have problems at quarterback? Like, this isn't news to me. And it's probably why I predicted that they were going to win 6 games.
I would push back a little bit and say that the thought is, especially for those that have been very complimentary, like me, of Kevin Stefanski and his ability to run an offense, is the thought was, all right, you're getting a veteran. You've got a problem solver at he's not what Tommy Rees technically the OC, but in a play caller,
it's Stefanski's the OC.
Yeah, it's Kevin's offense. So the thought was that there'd be some workarounds, and we haven't seen any of those. He has not been able to dial up anything in the way of solving the issues of this offense. Now in year 6, their offense looks as bad as it's ever looked.
Yeah, the criticism that I am willing to hear. The offense does not look like it was built around Joe Flacco this year. That's a problem. Now, that also might tell me that maybe Joe Flacco was not the plan, which is why I have said that if you gave the folks truth serum at 76 Luke Rosa Boulevard, they might have preferred Kenny Pickett. But Kenny got hurt in training camp. They got that 5th-round pick for him, and so it became Joe. But and I don't know if you agree with me. Does the offense look like it is built around Joe Flacco this year?
Do you mean because they're not taking as many shots down the field as even they did when Joe Flacco was here for the playoff run?
I'm talking about the plays that are being called. To me, it doesn't look like it was built around Joe. It really does not look like it was
he's had no chemistry whatsoever with their number one wide receiver, Jerry Jeudy. And then when he has put it on him, he's completely dropped it. And I said this, and people thought I was watching a different game than them. I thought that Joe Flacco had like 6 balls where he was under fire, getting crunched, had guys draped all over him, and he put it on guys. The fan and throw was another one.
Yeah, that went right through the hands.
That was tough. An awesome throw. And it's like this deficit was at 10. Everything up until the punt return for a touchdown. It was within a couple of possessions, and Jerry Jeudy just couldn't reel it in. Fannin couldn't reel it in. And these were not easy throws.
Right.
And the numbers that came out yesterday that I had from the analytics groups was that he was the most pressured of any quarterback in the NFL.
There's just no chemistry on offense. And I think part of that is a byproduct of how training camp was run. Because you had this, quote-unquote, 4-man quarterback competition.
It was a mistake.
Which, by the way, was a 3-man. Shedeur Sanders was never in the quarterback competition. Let's call it the way it was. Shedeur Sanders had no chance to win that quarterback competition, and there are circumstances around that as to why. But it was a 3-man, and then it turned into 2-man once Kenny Pickett got hurt. But there's just no... And we saw this in training camp. I was trying to tell you guys there were real issues last year. I was trying to tell you guys there were real issues in camp, and then everyone feigned surprise when the season hit and they couldn't do anything. Deshaun Watson couldn't do anything. Well, I tried to tell you in training camp, it wasn't going well. Same thing this year. I tried to tell you guys, the offense looked horrible in camp. I'm not the least bit, and it's part of the reason maybe I'm not as fired up as I normally would be or angry as I normally would be that this is such a bad watch offensively. And most of the reason, Anthony, is because I watched this during training camp. I'm not the least bit surprised by any of this. Is it frustrating to watch? Sure. I'm not surprised there's no chemistry anywhere. We saw it in camp.
All right, I want to ask fans, 216-474-0092. So we've laid out the case on why this might be a very challenging week to try to turn this around and go with a quarterback change. The coach certainly left it open. Does he just need to pull the trigger now? 216-474-0092. And when we come back, there is one prominent NFL analyst that says, oh boy, this is a rough week to go with a backup quarterback against this defensive coordinator in Minnesota. We will discuss that. Plus, Rex Ryan had a bizarre statement about one of your quarterbacks. I can imagine you can guess who he's referring to and what is he hearing behind the scenes. That and John Greco joins us at 8 o'clock, all straightforward here. As we get ready for playoff baseball, we will get back into the guards a little bit later on here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. Real estate market, it is.
28-3. Bo Nix passed for 2 touchdowns, ran for another for Denver. Meanwhile, Miami last night beat the Jets 27-21. Dolphins get their first win, but receiver Tyreek Hill suffered a dislocated left knee, and reports say Hill also tore multiple ligaments in that knee. Don't miss the Kevin Stefanski Show. Starts at 7 o'clock tonight, right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
John Greco coming up 40 minutes. Nobody better to break down the challenges so far this year, the offensive line, and whether they can be fixed. Imagine somebody like John Greco in the NFL. He's not just going to throw his hands up in the air and say, well, that's it. Their line's going to be bad. I mean,
if you're the guy that played like 3 different spots on the offensive line, too.
Right. Just because it looks really bad, and this week they could potentially have their 5th different offensive line in 5 weeks. You know, you're seeing the same thing. Chargers, they have had to completely retool their line. The Vikings, you're going up against the Vikings this week. And before we get to our audio, I do want to say, and I think I surprised Daryl. Oh, and I'm not so sure if I surprised you.
Never surprised me.
Well, I came in this week, and I'm like, look, there's 1,000 reasons to be negative about the Browns. And they are, I think the line got down to 3.5 for London on Sunday. And I know the Vikings are already there, and you've got to travel. Wednesday is going to be a tough travel day for them, and to get their bearings for practice and everything this week is going to be difficult. I absolutely think the Browns can win this week, and their defense, Myles Garrett alone, especially if they are going up against Carson Wentz, who got sacked 7 times against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who their defense has not been anywhere near the defense that we have come to know and hate with the Steelers over the years.
Right.
He got sacked 7 times. He's got a lot of the same issues Deshaun Watson has, not seeing the field. And their line is in tatters anyway. Like, I think 13 points may be enough to win on Sunday. Do you think I'm crazy? Because it seemed like you guys, when I walked in, you're like, really? Lima, you're going to be optimistic of all weeks this week after what we just saw and what we've seen from their offense the first 4 weeks of the year? Yeah. I think they can absolutely win against Minnesota.
With just 13? I'm going to say 16. Got to be at least 16. Right. I don't think 13 gets it done.
My biggest fear right now for the Browns and for Browns fans is that they do put up 13 or 16 points and win this game with Joe Flacco at quarterback, and nothing changes for another week. And it buys another week of watching an offense that can't move down the field right now.
Owen is itching to see Dylan Gabriel.
No, I'm not.
I think
no,
he's just.
I'm not.
I think
you're itching to see that.
I'm itching to see anything different than what I've seen.
You're looking for a spark,
yes.
right? And I think all the fans are as well. I think that's why I've been in the minority.
For a spark themselves.
Well, I think that's why everybody thinks I'm crazy for saying I wouldn't necessarily make the move yet. And we played the audio from the head coach this week where he left open the door. That's fine. I've said I don't think this is the week to do it, and then we'll get into this again next week. Well, is it going to be the week to do it on the road in Pittsburgh? Well, they're going to be waiting for you. Like, that's a place we never win, no matter who our quarterback
is. Pittsburgh is not the week to change quarterbacks. Definitely not. So, there's a reason I keep saying I've got Miami circled on the calendar for the quarterback change, because I think that is the game that gives you the best chance of introducing Dylan Gabriel to some success.
And to building him up.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I don't have a tremendous amount of confidence in him to begin with, but I'm not rooting for the kid's downfall, and I don't want him to be put in a bad spot. I think this week, if you make the change, you put him in a bad spot with the short week / travel week here, Flores' defense, all that. Next week, not a great idea to do it because you haven't won in Pittsburgh since the Clinton administration, it feels like, in the regular season. And that's definitely not the week to debut your rookie quarterback. Miami feels like that makes sense. And then the subsequent weeks to follow, you got the Patriots in there, you got the Jets in there. Like, you're not exactly playing the Packers, the Ravens, the Steelers, right? Because I want this kid to be set up for success. I don't want you to make the change if you're the Browns and then have this kid go out there and just get his brains beat in. and get overwhelmed. And I feel like this week, that's a possibility. I feel like in Pittsburgh, that's a possibility. Like, I understand the itch for the change. I get it.
Because people think it can't get worse. I hear that a lot. And you add the numbers. Like, this is quite literally the worst offense that you've seen since 99.
It can always get worse.
Part of it is I do have the nightmares of DTR from a few years ago, and I do think...
but you know what? Here's the thing with DTR. A lot of that was on DTR, and I think people are missing that. Like, he wasn't prepared, and that's on him. Like, the organization didn't have a choice. They had to start him. They didn't have any other options. But, like, that was also on him. He wasn't prepared.
Well, what I mean is, Daryl, a rookie quarterback who is not a first-round pick. And by the way, the number one overall pick, Cam Ward. Have you seen how bad he's looked?
Yeah, it's been awful.
And why are we expecting an overdrafted third-round guy who doesn't have any of the physical tools that Cam Ward has?
Right.
What, behind a bad offensive line, why are we expecting that to provide a spark? Is it just because it's not Joe Flacco?
Yeah.
And I think that's what fans are falling into the trap. That doesn't mean that I see a lot of rookies drafted all over the place that can have good games. And Minnesota has no book on Dylan Gabriel, so maybe that would be an argument on the side. But I will tell you this. Going up against Minnesota, and this is always something that our fans aren't going to be as dialed into. But listen to Tony Romo. This is from a couple weeks ago. But the fact will remain. Listen to what he has to say about going up against the defensive coordinator you are battling this week, Brian Flores.
Brian Flores, defense coordinator, just made a concerted effort to be like, this is not going to happen again. Him and Kevin O'Connell, and they shut the run down early in the game, and they put the backup quarterback Browning into a position where he had obvious passing downs. And this is the last team you want to go against. It's like Star Wars out there. They come from everywhere, and you just don't know where to start with your eyes.
So that's always been the thing with Brian Flores. Like, he eats rookies for breakfast. Like, he has a field day because he's going to show them things they've never seen before. So I brought up DTR just because I met undersized quarterback drafted later in the draft that doesn't have the skill set of a first-round quarterback, doesn't have the physical tools.
Right.
Like, yeah, you're right. Dylan Gabriel, by all accounts, knows the playbook, and he can make the easy throws.
He'll be as
everything to the outside
as you can expect him to be.
He's gonna, but you don't think Brian Flores is going to be ready for a quarterback that's not going to be able to throw the ball down the middle of the field, can't see the field right now necessarily in his first game.
Here's the thing,
like, how do you think that's going to look, guys?
They're going to have to, with Dylan, because of his size, you have to find the throwing lanes between the weeds, right? And I, tongue-in-cheek, make the joke about what I saw during the offseason program, mini camp, training camp, when he would be on the field. Depending where I was staying, sometimes I was watching from the end zone, sometimes I was watching from the sideline. But there were times where I didn't know where the hell he was on the field. And the only way I knew where he was is I was watching where the offensive and defensive line were going. Oh, okay, well, clearly he's on the left side because everyone's running that way. Oh, now he's on the right side, well, because everyone's running that way. But I couldn't see him. And some way, somehow, to his credit, like, he was able to throw the ball and find those passing lanes. But
what, you talking about the preseason game?
Yeah. But, like, here's the thing.
Who is he playing against in that preseason game?
They're going to have to find ways.
How many of those guys even made the team? Like, I do love how people jumped all over any of the reporters who were talking about how bad he was in training camp because he played well in a preseason game. Do you want me to list the guys that played well in the preseason this year at quarterback?
Yeah.
Like, the list is horrendous. They're guys you've never heard of.
How about former Browns
Tanner
quarterbacks?
McKee?
How about former Browns quarterbacks that would play well in the preseason?
Sure,
and
we've had a slew of them.
The regular season would come in to be a disaster, right? But, and I think that part of the reason, another one of the reasons people are like, oh, yeah, go ahead and throw Dylan Gabriel. Because the offensive line is so terrible. Joe can't move, right? With the pressure, and you're like, well, at least Dylan Gabriel can run around. At least he can
the thing is,
escape some of that pressure.
Flacco threw the ball from the pocket.
Yeah.
Right? So what kind of an offense are they going to run if that is scrapped, right? So everything is going to be cut off half the field. the rollouts, which they shouldn't be running with Joe Flacco anyway.
Right.
All right, now they'll reincorporate the rollouts and everything to give him a chance. But have you seen guys have been in Joe Flacco's face on the rollouts? I know. Like that, and he could still at times get the ball around guys. How is Dylan Gabriel going to do that?
I know. Like, he's going to have to throw it between the weeds.
All right, let's go to the phones. 216-474-0092. Eric in Fairview. Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up?
Lifelong Viking fan, living here in the Cleveland area. But my thought process on this, I mean, you're looking at two teams that are really struggling on the offensive line right now. And with the patchwork that they have to put together, I mean, that's kind of a toss-up on either side. Now, we look at quarterback play. If Carson Wentz can do just the game management system that he was brought here to do, kind of fill in the gaps in between, JJ trying to get healthy, I think the Vikings stand a chance. Now, the Browns, on the other hand, I think a very similar setup. I mean, if they can just get Joe Flacco just to make the throws that he's capable of making, the Vikings could be in trouble. Going against this defense for the Browns, though, I mean, you know how quickly Brian Flores can turn things up. But if they can establish a nice run game, the Vikings, I mean, statistically, do not stop the run well.
Eric, let me ask you this. You're a Vikings fan. Who are you more worried to go up against? Dylan Gabriel or Joe Flacco or, C, none of the above?
So, okay, if Joe Flacco, which it looks like I would say it's going to be Joe. If they can keep Joe, the 42-year-old, right in the pocket, he's going to stand there long enough where the Vikings can't get to him. However, if you put Dylan Gabriel in there, like you said, there's no tape on Dylan Gabriel, like real tape, which, most teams have trouble adapting to, fresh quarterbacks, fresh legs that they don't really have tape on. Brian Flores is good at adjusting on the fly, but if he can eat them up a little bit earlier and put more pressure on them so they can't blitz as much, the Browns have a chance with Dylan Gabriel. But if Joe Flacco is vintage Joe Flacco, he's going to pick them apart underneath. That's going to bring us in, and then you got something over the top. So, I think this game is going to be a lot closer than a lot of people think.
I think it would. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate the call. It's nice to get somebody from a different perspective. John in Wadsworth.
I like his optimism, though.
Yeah.
Vintage Joe Flacco.
He also doesn't believe in Carson Wentz, which I understand after what we just saw. John, go ahead.
Hey, what's up, guys? Good morning.
What's up?
I think you guys make a lot of really good points about the offense. I think the one that I like the best is one you guys brought up yesterday about, Dylan Gabriel's mobile, but he's going to run himself into sacks. So, I mean, I think that is kind of an underrated aspect of what could happen.
Well, it's just rookie quarterbacks in general, John. Like, you see inflated sack totals because they don't know what an NFL pocket looks like.
Yeah. And I think for me, it's just a generality for me why I would like to see Gabriel. And it's simply because with Joe Flacco, you don't have anything to gain. And even if Dylan Gabriel is absolutely awful or even worse, as you've said, at least there's the possibility of something to gain. Because what if he does show something? What if you're like, okay, we might have something going forward? At least that's something. I mean, with Joe Flacco, there is nothing. It's just you got him here strictly to be competitive, and he's not competitive. I mean, it's terrible.
Well, he's been arguably I appreciate the phone call. He's been arguably the worst quarterback in football. Let me go to Adam in Cleveland. Go ahead, Adam.
Good morning, guys. How are you doing?
What's up?
Hey, so I have a comment and a question at least. So I think we all know right now the season's going. Defense is elite, but again, with this historic bad offense, I don't see us being competitive or at least going to the playoffs, obviously competing for that. So the only reason I would say to move on from Flacco is like the last guy just said, we brought him to be competitive. And he's, like you said, Lyman, he's literally statistically probably the worst quarterback in the NFL right now. So I think we got to find out and it sucks that we're talking about this, it's Cleveland football here, but we got to find out if we need to draft a quarterback or if these two picks in the first round, do we need to get offensive players? Because I think with Deshaun Watson's contract, we don't have any money to go spend on the offense still. So the only way to upgrade the offense with wide receiver, tackle, whatever, is to do it in the draft. So I think that you got to make the change. I mean, as much as it sucks, I loved Flacco coming here. He's just, even 2 years ago, he looks completely of a shell of himself than what he was.
All right, thank you, Adam. Daryl, I think his arm is fine. Do you think his arm is...
Yeah, it's the mobility. That's what it comes down to, and having to deal with the pressure, and again, the fact that the offensive line is unable to buy him the time that he needs. And then there's the mental thing that we have talked about, right? Because Kevin Stefanski has really tried to drill into his head, take care of the football, don't make any unnecessary risks and things like that. And he's still turning the ball over, right?
First week against, we all agreed that the first 2 interceptions, the tip balls and everything. Now, the second Judy interception, I put on Judy, man. I don't.
Well, the one he just threw up into center field.
Anytime he's had to take risk, it's resulted in a turnover.
Well, because they're down.
The problem. Yes.
Yeah.
Even the touchdown in Baltimore, it almost got picked off.
Right. That was total fluke. Total
just
to
fell into Tillman's hands. Yes.
Yeah. So and he had another one where because the tackles were beat so bad that it got flagged. But he had the ball stripped from him. Remember, Hutchinson came in.
And that caller's right, that Gabriel will probably run into sacks. But, Daryl, what was the number? 12 times that Flacco was hit on Sunday?
Yeah.
I mean,
3 sacks, 9
He's not running into sacks. He's standing there and waiting for sacks to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not great anyway. That's why we started the segment and I said, I'm not saying bring in Gabriel because I want to see him. I just want to see anything else.
Let's see anything different.
Anything different.
Well,
I get, and again, I get it, but I don't think that this week or next week you're setting this kid up for success.
All right, we'll save that Rex Ryan audio for a little bit later because he had something very bizarre to say about one Cleveland Browns quarterback. But we come back in about last night. Could a top Guardians prospect make his long-awaited debut in this upcoming wild card series? That John Greco breaks down what they need to do to make life a lot easier on the offensive line and the offense. That's coming up in about 23 minutes here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Men, trouble in the bedroom? Not anymore. Precise Men's Medical Center restores your sex life in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate erectile dysfunction and PE. Here's a specialist in men's.
Paxi Squad and Dom Nunez and Chase DeLauder, who, according to reports, will be added to the 26-man roster and could make his Major League debut, yes, during the postseason. This is manager Stephen Vogt yesterday during his press conference talking about working to finalize the roster.
I mean, we're talking through what we're going to do, and we're still trying to figure out exactly what we want the roster to look like. And, there's a case to be made for both of them to be active. And so they're going to be here working out with us today, and then we're going to finalize the roster.
It feels like a bold move to have a guy's Major League debut during the postseason, does it not?
It also feels like an only in baseball thing, because this just doesn't happen in the other sports.
No, it doesn't feel like it. It is an only in baseball thing.
Well, I was trying to think in the NFL. I mean, David Tyree caught, but he had played all season. But he just wasn't used. He barely had any production whatsoever when he caught one of the biggest, passes in NFL history. But in baseball, this could happen, and he could be pinch hitting. He could be in for a big time leverage situation with everything on the line.
He could start. You just don't know.
I don't see that, but this is so quintessential baseball. And if you're the Tigers, it is amazing to think about how many of these guys were not on this team. Forget about the beginning of the season, because the Guardians will always have about 4 guys that are playing that will be scrapped at some point a little bit later on. And maybe some guys, because of a gambling investigation, might get taken out as well. But there's so many different guys in there now, and so you never know in baseball. Are those guys going to feel the weight of the moment, or are they going to be so dumb they don't know any better?
I think it's the latter. It's just baseball to them. Vogt talked about it yesterday too. It's just baseball. If they start thinking about, and it's not just the kids, but if they start thinking about the circumstances, you get caught up in everything. But the Guardians would not be where they're at right now without these kids. So
I was going to say, making your Major League debut in front of a crowd of 30,000 plus raucous playoff fans, does that give you more confidence, or does that give you a sense of nerves?
Well, probably also depends on if guys like Quan and Ramirez can get things jump started, right? Because if they're sitting there in the 5th inning and they have, a goose egg on the scoreboard and they are flailing away,
and the shadows are creeping in,
then it gets dangerous. Then it gets very nerve-wracking, and it's almost like the home field advantage kind of goes away. So that's why it's going to be so big for those guys to jumpstart that lineup right away.
Yesterday, we also had the media day for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They are back on the floor, at least in a couple weeks from now. Darius Garland yesterday making some headlines for a comment he made regarding his leadership role on the team.
My number 1 job right now is stay healthy. Number 2, keep everybody on the same cylinder. Keep everybody above what they expect. Keep everybody engaged. Keep everybody locked in together. I'm the leader of this group, so got to be the head of the snake.
You believe in that, Darius Garland, leader of the Core 4?
That is the first I've ever heard that. Now, we're not in the locker room, and, Kenny Atkinson's probably now going to be asked about that. Normally in the NBA, it's pretty obvious who the leaders are, and then we talk about the style of leadership. We did that with LeBron all the time, but there's so many veterans on that team when they went and won a championship. This team has a bunch of guys that have accomplished nothing in terms of playoff success. The only guy they had on the roster last year was Tristan, and he wasn't considered a big-time leader.
Right.
It seemed like he was more involved with, promoting crypto than anything on the actual floor or anything going on in the locker room.
Yesterday, a lot of conversation was about Evan Mobley making himself an MVP candidate and growing into that. All right, Donovan Mitchell. I think he's the. If you want to talk about Donovan,
I wonder how Donovan feels about that. Because it came out of left field when I saw that. I was like, oh, he's just talking about his young group of guys. No, he's talking about this group. Well,
being the head. Yeah, I think it's Donovan and Evan. It starts with those 2 guys, and that's no shade thrown at Darius from me, not at all. But you heard him say the most important thing in that clip, and it wasn't the leadership part being the head of the snake. It's staying healthy, making sure that And look, injuries are out of his control. It's not his fault. But most important thing for Darius Garland this year is his availability. Not so much, at least from my perspective. It's not the leadership there.
Real quick, this is year 7 for Darius Garland, which means he's been here longer.
Cow.
He's been here longer than Kyrie Irving was during his tenure.
You look at him, and
Kyrie didn't want to be here.
Well,
probably because of his physique as well. It feels like he's a kid.
Yeah.
Still, and he like so many of these guys need a postseason breakthrough.
And we heard this offseason, we heard from Kenny Atkinson and Kobe Altman last week that it was good offseason in the gym for him. I will say this. Looking at Darius yesterday and looking at Evan Mobley yesterday, you could tell both of them did hit the gym this offseason. It was noticeable.
Going from that to
that for 5 straight years.
One of the Monday night games last night between the Bengals and the Broncos. This one was all Denver. But the story of this one kind of coming towards the end. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman on the ESPN broadcast had this to say about the Bengals' effort.
If you're Zach Taylor, you're going to have to find a way to hold this thing together. I mean, they've got more penalties than first downs tonight. And if you've got Jake Browning a quarterback, you cannot play a game like this around him with all the mistakes and expect to compete. And they just, frankly, after their first possession, didn't compete.
This has been an embarrassing effort by the Cincinnati Bengals.
It doesn't get easier, by the way, because they got Detroit next.
Yeah, good for them. You know what? Actually, this whole situation makes me angry now.
Why is that?
Well, things are falling apart for the Ravens. Things are falling apart for the Bengals. You have an all-time defense here in Cleveland, and we're fighting over whether or not Joe Flacco or Dylan Gabriel should start against the Vikings.
I mean, I think one of the headlines.
Opportunity.
Yeah, one of the headlines is the AFC North kind of stinks right now, and nobody's buying Pittsburgh. They have a big turnover margin. Them and Jacksonville have these inflated records because of turnover differential. When that regresses to the mean,
hey, Andrew
I think
Berry,
you'll see
if you
both
could have
those
found
teams.
a quarterback, you could have ended your divisional title drought this year.
Well, if Daniel Jones was their starting quarterback right now, would they win the division?
Possibly. He might be good enough. I mean, I don't think you go anywhere with him, but he might be good enough.
I'm not going to make it seem like I was sitting there screaming to go get Daniel Jones.
I don't know. It sounds like you're doing that there.
But he has been really good, and you start to think about, man, who could they have actually had that could have this with this defense? When that division where Baltimore is reeling with all the injuries, I think they were without 7 players on defense, and their top 5 highest paid players were all out by the end of that game, which was lopsided.
Going from that news to our final thing here, the Browns making a move for the offensive line yesterday, acquiring Cam Robinson in a trade with the Texans, along with a pair of 7th-round pick swaps. Daryl, you had something to say regarding the Browns' offensive line and the current state of it if they're making this trade.
Yeah, it's basically they're desperate. Have you not watched the tackles the last 2 weeks? I mean, you say what you want about Joe Flacco and how he's played. He's not getting help from the boys up front. It's bad. The Browns are desperate. They brought in the kid from New England last week. They make the trade for Robinson yesterday. I mean, 6 deep now at that position? It's really, really bad. That's the clean way of me describing the current state.
Well, and there's not a lot of ways midstream that you can go get somebody who's really good on the offensive line. Teams are not giving those guys up.
No! One of Andrew Berry's biggest mistakes in this past draft is he did not draft a tackle.
They took 2 running backs, made no sense to me. They took 2 quarterbacks, made no sense to me.
I would trade Dylan Sampson for an offensive tackle yesterday.
Are you with me? Not as enamored with Dylan Sampson as everybody else?
Well,
Judkins is a keeper. That guy is 100%. A stud.
Look, I like Dylan Sampson catching the ball out of the backfield, but again, I would have rather them draft an offensive line. In fact, I would probably rather them draft an offensive line if they didn't draft Dylan Gabriel.
Mitch, are you intimidated when Ken's in here? Yeah, I mean, you just dominated. You just rolled right on through. The transitions were good. He had good audio. What is it about Ken that makes you
I don't think it's Ken. I think it was the advice you gave me last week regarding how to maneuver myself during the segment.
See, Mitch. There's a lot of hope here. You can maybe Dylan Gabriel. They can mold Dylan Gabriel.
He is our Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, I gotta give it up to Mitch.
I am not 5'10". I am not 5'10".
What's on his Tinder profile? That's the question. All right, when we come back, How about a breakdown of the offensive line? What can be done to salvage this situation? Because through 4 weeks, it's been one of the worst in the NFL. John Greco is next. Plus, we get you pumped up as we get you closer to Guardians' first pitch today as we welcome in the 2025 MLB Wildcard Playoffs. Straight ahead here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. XTENDAV.com. I cannot wait for a 1:08 start time for our Guardians today, where I will be in front of the 85-inch Sony Bravia TV because I have the kids and we had no one else.
left knee, and reports this morning say he'll also suffer torn multiple ligaments in that knee. Don't miss the Kevin Stefanski Show tonight, 7 o'clock, right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
All the Browns and NFL news you may have missed at work. The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. 92.3 The Fan.
We are 5 hours from playoff baseball. Wild card game number 1, and according to Owen's numbers earlier in the show, the whole series rests.
Yeah, you got to win game number 1.
On game number 1, because literally since they've been doing this for the last
only
3
12
years.
Series. Only 12 total series, but
it's all gone to the home team or the team that wins.
It's the team that wins game 1.
Game 1, yeah.
So 0 for 12. Not great odds.
And only 2 out of the 12 hasn't went to a game 3.
But you know what? Not great odds being 15.5 down either.
That was tougher. Yeah, that was tougher from.
You think so?
Coming back from one game, right?
Winning like 16 more games than the other team was tougher than winning 2 more. It's good math, man.
3 times seeing Scooble in just a few weeks. This is improbable. I want to ask John Greco if the playoff fever has reached all the way down to beautiful. He's not in Dublin. Where are you in down there in Central Ohio, John?
Good morning, guys. I'm in Powell,
You're in
Ohio.
Powell. That's right.
Yes,
that's
the sunny
right.
Streets of Powell, Ohio.
Are they? Do they have watch parties?
on all your success. Thank you. I'll be quick with that one. Yeah, there's definitely watch parties. I have a quick doctor's appointment this morning, and then I plan on watching it. Absolutely. I'm bummed that it's not a primetime game, but I get it. But I'm excited, man. And I was listening to the statistics that you guys were just talking about with the home team and game 1 being so important. And Scoop Bowl 3 times in a short amount of time. It's gonna take a lot, but the Guardians have that magic, and I'm excited.
All right, so John, Browns made a trade out of sheer desperation. Because I'm sure you saw the same thing that all of us saw last week, is that Joe Flacco was under siege. He was the most pressured quarterback in the NFL. Whether it's going to be Flacco or a third-round rookie who has limited size, you better shore up that offensive line. Do you think they can make some inroads if they get Conklin back finally healthy here in Week 5 and with the trade for Cam Robinson?
Well, they better hope. And, I know everyone is angry at me, angry at Kevin Stefanski, angry at each other that they have not made a change yet offensively at quarterback. And this is one of the areas that I do agree with Coach Stefanski, in that it's just not about one guy. And yeah, if some of those interceptions, the one that looked like, a punt return, even though Joe took the blame on there, maybe he's telling the truth, or he's just, not wanting to throw his teammates under the bus. But yeah, they have to shore that up. And if they don't, I don't care who's back there. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, any quarterback, they're going to struggle if you're not protecting. And if you're not taking care of the football, and if you're not catching the football, I don't understand how they're going to win games. So yes, this is you use the word desperation. I think that's a great way to put it. And I mean, my God, hopefully Jack Conklin's healthy and can stay healthy. And then at least you're getting some guys back in there. And yeah, you trade for a veteran, Cam Robinson, who, obviously they thought can either provide depth or was a better solution to what they currently have. But yeah, guys, I don't care who's back there. Those guys have to protect better. And it goes across the board, all 5 guys up front. And you see musical chairs on the edge positions. That affects everyone. That affects the guards. That affects the center. That affects the tight ends. And when you're working with different guys, new guys on the fly, you're flying to London, and you're trying to get a guy up to speed. There's a lot going on in there. So hopefully they get it figured out and get it figured out quick.
John, I know what I saw from KT Leviston and Cornelius Lucas on Sunday, but as someone who's played the game, I want to get your perspective. When you watched both of those guys, what did you see?
Well, Daryl, I don't think your eyes are lying to you. And times where, things looked okay and times where they struggled. And I think that's just the reality of the situation right now when you have your third and fourth tackles in there and a guy that doesn't have a lot of experience, and a veteran guy that's, trying to stick on and extend his career. But I don't know a lot of teams that are on their fourth tackle that are, hey, this guy's a diamond in the rough and having a ton of success. And I talked with Anthony and Ken a couple weeks ago about what they're going to have to start doing and borrowing blockers. And I know people have heard me say that before, but that's the reality. And you can only do that so many times. You can't have one-man passing concepts and routes and expect to score points. So teams are going to continue to just load the box and say, hey, look, beat us with the throw. You're not going to run the ball. We're going to make you one-dimensional. And until the Browns can catch the ball more consistently, get the ball out more consistently, run the right routes, and protect, you're going to see that. You're going to start seeing, if you put a rookie in there, I guarantee you the pressures are going to start getting dialed up more. And it's going to make things more, complicated and more challenging for whoever's in there on the offensive line. So, Daryl, your eyes aren't lying to you. I don't want to, I don't want to sit here and trash those guys.
Right.
At times they struggled, and at times they did a decent enough job in order for the offense to execute, but it isn't getting done.
You mentioned about protection and trying to hide those guys. I guess maybe you can hide one tackle, but can you really hide two of them?
No, that's my point. It gets to the point where you're putting so many Band-Aids on the wounds that, you're sliding one way and you're saying, okay, well, this one tackle has the guard's eyes and the center guard and tackle are working 2 to 3 guys and you have a guard helping you. But if he gets beat around the edge, if the tackle gets beat around the edge with inside help, he's to blame there. There's no excuse for that. And then on the other side, on the man side, it's one-on-one with either a tight end chipping or running back staying in. And then teams key on that, guys. They know, hey, look, you're helping this guy. Well, we're going to design looks on defense to where you cannot do that. We're going to put the guy that knows the running back's supposed to have him in protection and his responsibility, and they're going to move him around to where they are trying to pull you away from helping guys up front. And teams do that, and teams are smart. And you look at this Vikings defense with Brian Flores. You're going to see some exotic looks, some goofy blitzes, and some alignments that are unconventional, and they're going to have to be ready for it. And it's a kind of a different week, international week, and I know they're no stranger to doing that. The Browns have been over there before, and they know how to prepare for it. But it is a different week. Let's be honest. So they're going to have to go in there, watch the tape on the plane, get a good, solid game plan ready for whoever's there at quarterback and whoever's there at tackle, and everybody's got to do their job. And that's the most frustrating part right now, guys. When things actually go well up front, you have a guy drop a ball or a penalty or a weird interception or the guy not running the right route or whatever. And when things look good on the perimeter and we say, oh, we have a guy open, protection's breaking down. So again, that's where I agree with Stefanski in that it's not about one guy. It's about the group. And I don't know if it's the coaches aren't getting them prepared, or if it's the game plan is screwed up and the guys can't execute it, or if it's more just kind of individual efforts lacking here and there. But it's bad across the board, and averaging 14 points is not going to get it done. I don't care if you have the best defense in the league, because they do, but that's not sustainable.
John Greco with us on the hotline. When you were in the league and there were quarterback changes made, when would the players find out?
It's funny. That's a great question. You would oftentimes find out like on social media or when the rest of the world did, or I think in situations like this, probably the captains or like the vet leaders would get a sense of it. I would assume that Coach Stefanski or the offensive coaches will kind of relay that message to some of the vets or the captains early on or like before they released it publicly. And then there's, like I said, then there's been times where, when you guys find out, that's when I find out. And it's like, hey, let's go. But let me expand on that real quick, and I'm going to use the Giants as an example. You saw Jackson Dart play against the Chargers last weekend, and he's got a unique chemistry about him and aura. Dylan Gabriel is more built like Kevin Stefanski. He's stoic. He's just going to execute. He's about timing. He's about rhythm. He's about using his legs. But everything has got to be perfect. So going back to the Giants, you saw the energy in that stadium and on the sidelines. He's dancing. He's scoring. He just had a confidence about him. When they make a change, that's what has to happen. And it's got to really electrify the unit offensively and then show the defense, okay, there's been a change made. These guys are real. Let's rally. There needs to be that spark. And I hope we get it, and I hope it shows when they ultimately make the change.
From your view, John, would Dylan Gabriel, and I hate to put you on the spot like this, but I mean, this is just where we're at. From your perspective, does Dylan Gabriel give the Browns a better chance to create, as you said, that spark, inject some energy, and ultimately, hopefully, lead them to be able to win football games?
I think so, Daryl, because of his mobility. It's just different than Joe Flacco's right now. I mean, we all know that. So, if the offensive line and the tackles, if the protection looks horrible, again, I'll just echo what I said. It doesn't matter who's back there.
Right. Which is what I've been arguing, by the way.
Yeah, that's the thing. I know people are so quick to just make a quarterback change. And, yeah, Joe has not played well. And a lot of it's on him, but a lot of it is external, factors. So I don't really care who's back there. It's probably going to look similar. But if they can button some things up across the board offensively, and you end up making the move to Dylan Gabriel, he could throw the ball right on the money. And is it going to be dropped? I don't know.
Right.
Same thing. If he drops back and there's someone open and he's got a guy in his face and he's getting crushed, is that going to help things? But if you make a change and that galvanizes that unit and everybody says, okay, this is a reality check. Things weren't working out with Flacco. Everybody looks in the mirror and digs deep. And Dylan Gabriel comes out and he's vocal and he's confident and he executes and they get some guys to help him around them. And he provides a spark and gets the crowd pumped up. Everybody feeds off of that for sure. So that is, I think, what this team needs. It just needs some kind of spark. And it's not going to happen until everybody on that group starts, playing a little bit better.
All right, John, we appreciate the breakdown. That's really good stuff there, and we'll get a chance to talk to you again next week.
Guys, go Guardians.
Yeah, heck yeah. There he is, John Greco, football guy, but today he's a baseball guy, as I think most level-headed people need to be today. We'll get to the Guardians for sure. We have Todd Derry at 9 o'clock with all the latest machinations, with some interesting developments on who's going to be with this roster for the game. We'll get to all that, coming up. And we've got the Neutral Zone with Rat Boy and the Hog, but no Hog today. We've got Daryl Ryder instead. It is a wild card Tuesday. Cleveland Guardians getting set for first pitch over Progressive Field. Stick with us here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and this is not a
Thursday. He'll also tore multiple ligaments in that knee. Don't miss the Kevin Stefanski Show tonight, 7 o'clock, right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
I like Cleveland. I keep joking with the guys. I didn't even know Cleveland had water, so it's been nice getting out the house. The weather's been good. I know that's not going to last too much longer, but food's been good. People are great, man, and I have no complaints.
Too much longer. It's been 80 degrees the entire month of September. We push summer forward now in Cleveland. It definitely, the whole calendar is shaken up over the last year.
It got here late. Too.
Right, right.
So we're getting our back in this year.
I think we're going to get a beautiful October. Let's go.
Maybe one to remember.
I think so. Unfortunately, the Cavs aren't going to be able to be at the playoff game today because they're down in Florida, right? Yeah. Or they're already heading down.
They're in IMG. They're going to IMG for their training camp, but they play
Sarasota.
They have a home game next weekend. Right?
Okay,
the 7th, I think. They host somebody.
I'm calling it now. The Cavs will be back in time to go to a Guardians playoff.
They'll still be playing because not only are they going to win today, they're going to win this series and keep it going. We have Todd Derry to join us at 9 o'clock. Does it surprise you still that people, they treat Ohio, they treat Cleveland like just flyover and they don't even know about the Great Lakes?
Well, we have water here and everything. It's great.
Yeah. Baker Mayfield, people were posting that Baker didn't know when he first got here. He didn't know that was a lake.
I can get that from Baker because he'd never been to the north. What's the furthest north he'd ever went? He went to Ohio State, so they played in the Horseshoe. That's the only probably experience. That was probably the furthest north he'd ever been. But yeah, Lonzo's been through town a few times. His brother was at Spire.
Yeah, his brother was at Spire Academy, which is not very far from Lake Erie.
Reminds me of the quote from Dennis Oil Can Boyd when he said, "What do you expect when they build a ballpark next to the ocean?"
That's true. I remember those great oil can quotes. I would love to get Lonzo out on the Good Time 3 and go see the sights. Go cruise not only the lake, but also some of the river and get maybe they've got some scotch on there. It's a good time.
Spire is about 7 miles from Geneva on the lake, right there on the waterfront. So maybe that was too far. Maybe they were so focused on basketball over there at Spire.
All those courts.
Yeah.
In that training facility.
It just seems endless. So I thought that was funny. We played already Darius Garland talking about him being the leader, which I think surprised me and about just about every other Cavs fan. Not Donovan. Donovan's not the leader.
He's the longest tenured Cav,
but that when you said 7 years, I was like, holy cow. Meanwhile, there was something else that was said yesterday that I guess it didn't raise my eyebrow. I'm trying to think. I was just surprised they copped to it. Listen to Donovan Mitchell, and you tell me what your takeaway is when he talked about why they just seem to be falling a little too early in the postseason.
I think there's a mental push. I think physically, guys, we understand. I think there's a want to, which is what makes what I'm about to say easier. You can't really have a mental push if you don't want to be there and want to grow. So that's first and foremost. I think just being mentally understanding, all right, this physically you can be there, but mentally can we continue to push through that? We've run into the same wall 3 times in a row, so to speak, and mentally you could stop and quit. So are we willing to every day continue to hit your head against the wall and keep pounding and keep going as we continue to make this push? And I think we are, and I believe we are.
I mean, he said mental 7 times in that clip.
Remember locker cleanout day. I think it was Max Strus, if I remember correctly. He was the first one that dropped that they were not ready for that Indiana series for game 1. That they were not mentally prepared for it.
Yeah, he was also the one that sent out the text that told everybody to get up, and then he didn't score any points.
Then he couldn't hit a shot in the final game. Even though I thought he played well most of that series.
But yeah, I think that's some coded language from Donovan is saying, yeah, we weren't mentally ready. We heard that yesterday too. The acknowledgement they were not in tune where they needed to be to begin that Pacers series.
Well, it's interesting
which
because
is shocking considering what we had heard about all of the lessons they learned from the previous 2 playoffs that saw them bounced in the first and then the second round, right? That's why it's surprising to me. And now, like you heard Donovan say there, the challenge for them is to get over that hump and climb that mountain. And they need to be mentally tougher, and they need to be physically tougher to be able to do that this year.
They won 64 games last year, and it was wide open for them in the Eastern Conference, especially after the injury with Jason Tatum in Boston. They were on the verge of losing that series anyway, going down 3-1 when he got injured. And I think, while he's talking mental, I saw Evan Mobley, Sam Merrill, Jared Allen, all the other guys were talking physical.
Right.
I gotta be honest, I don't think they know why they lost. I think they are still shell shocked from that, and I think they're confident they're going to win a ton of games again here in the regular season. They know now the East is even more wide open with the injuries to Tatum. Obviously, the Pacers are down and out because of their injury, and then Miles Turner leaves. So again, it's wide open for them, but no one's going to pick them to win it all. Like, no one's going to... I think a lot of people are going to... If they were playing the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals, I think everybody is taking the Knicks. Because they will think... And until I see otherwise, I'm probably going to be in the same boat. Where is that mental edge? Where is that edge going to be? Are they going to have it? Are they going to get over the hump? Because I've already seen Jalen Brunson go head-to-head against Donovan Mitchell and come out victorious. I've seen that twice. And I've just seen the Cavs. I've seen them look like a completely different team in the playoffs than the regular season. And it seems like they don't have the answers. And so is it just going to be Evan Mobley getting better? Because, okay, if Evan Mobley just becomes a much better player overall, maybe that'll solve a lot of those problems. Because how many shots did he get up in that elimination game? Like, I know he was banged up, but so was Darius, and Darius still took all the shots.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's got to be Evan taking that step forward, and maybe that solves maybe a lot of that mental issue.
And that's why we heard yesterday a lot about the get-togethers that they had around the country on their own this offseason.
But is that stuff going to matter when we get into the postseason? Are we going to look back and say, thank God these guys bonded so much and had workouts together, way back when?
I think that there's something to be said for that, because it comes down to the players. Kenny Atkinson can draw up all the plays he wants. The players have to go out and execute it. It comes down to the players. They have to do it. They have to execute. They have to want to do it. They have to mentally be in there to do it. So, yeah, I think that there is something to be said for players spending time together on their own without being told to do it, to build that chemistry, the camaraderie, all that. We talk about the Browns all the time when guys are getting together in the offseason and working on stuff, and what type of dividends is that going to pay come the regular season.
Yeah, I always wonder if we just overrate that stuff.
Yeah, but I think that there is something to be said for the self-motivation. You have to be self-motivated, and the sense that I got yesterday at Media Day is there is a lot of self-motivation.
Well, they're humiliated. I mean, there's no doubt. Those guys are humiliated. They won 64 games and felt like none of it mattered when they lost the way they did, and they got run off the floor.
Yeah, I mean, it was a mostly non-competitive series against the Pacers. They got bullied physically. I hate saying give up. That's probably the wrong way to put it.
I don't know. Did you hear Donovan? He said, "Get over that. Get through that wall."
It felt like they gave up, though. You know what I'm saying? What was it, Game 4, where they just absolutely got waxed by the Pacers, and they had to have it to even the series, and they just got absolutely had their doors blown off? That, to me, that was a mental give up. At that point, they surrendered mentally. So they've got to. I like the fact that they have a little self-awareness here about the mental side of things, because that is the block. It's a block for Donovan.
It's not like they're not talented enough. It's not like they weren't talented enough to beat Indiana last year.
Talent's not the issue. Now it's a matter of getting that assembled. It's part of the reason they made the coaching change, right? Going from JB to Kenny Atkinson to get more out of that. Well, you got more out of the talent in the regular season, but now you got to get. It's the playoffs that matters. Yes, the regular season you needed to get your seeding and all that kind of stuff for the playoffs. But LeBron learned this. You can't expend all your energy in the regular season. You got to save it for when it matters most, and that's the playoffs. Kenny Atkinson saying that Donovan Mitchell's in midseason form. That got my attention last week, and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, that sounds good. I don't know that that's good. Need Donovan to be in midseason form.
Well, he's been out of gas, too, at the end of the year. All right.
Yeah.
We will be full-fledged All Guardians final hour of the show because Todd Derry will join us at 9 o'clock, and we will get you ready, as well as Baskin and Phelps. Also a chance to win Nate Bargatze tickets at 9 o'clock, so stay tuned for that. I wanted to play this audio, though, to wrap things up with the Browns this morning. This came out of left field yesterday, and you guys always are here to let me know if I'm reading too much into something. Like last week when Shedeur Sanders, just somebody asked him in the locker room about quarterback play in the NFL, and he talked, and I'm like, well, who's been worse than Joe Flacco other than Cam Ward? Like, who's he talking about here? He's probably talking about Joe Flacco. People say, you're reading way too much into that. All right, you guys tell me, am I reading way too much into what Rex Ryan said yesterday on ESPN?
Stefanski is one of an outstanding coach, all right? But why the hell isn't he putting Shedeur Sanders? We're all waiting to see this Shedeur Sanders be the guy or Gabriel, whatever. Something's missing. Something's missing with this kid. This kid talks. He runs his mouth like I could be a starting quarterback with his arms crossed like this. Get your ass in the front row and study and do all that. If I know, the whole league knows. Quit being an embarrassment that way. You got the talent to be the quarterback. You should be embarrassed that you're not the quarterback now.
Okay, so again, audio courtesy of ESPN. Am I reading too much into this that the whole thing was a shot? They say, yeah, come on, let's see Shedeur. Let's see it, right? I mean, the guy's talking all the time, and then he talked about like the arms folded, and if I know it, the whole league knows it. Has Rex Ryan been hearing something about Shedeur in that locker room, in that building, and him not doing enough, nowhere near enough to be ready to play football?
I've heard it. He's not ready to play.
Okay, when this was said, hold on, Daryl, before you go into this, because you're going to get crushed, and we're all going to get crushed for even airing the audio, and Rex Ryan's going to get crushed, and I saw it get aggregated yesterday, because anything Shedeur Sanders does gets aggregated because people click on it. So he's going to have, the Shedeur fans are going to come out of the woodwork now anytime he gets mentioned. And I mean, you notice he just threw in Dylan Gabriel there. Or Dylan Gabriel. But he's talking about Shedeur here. And this is the same stuff that was, quote, a smear campaign against Shedeur. And then we saw Shedeur drop all the way to where he did. You know, what did he go? How many picks after Jackson Dart?
Listen, the National Football League did not collude or conspire against Shedeur Sanders in the NFL. I have said, and I continue to maintain, the people around Shedeur Sanders colluded and conspired to unintentionally sabotage that kid. Nowhere in the league did anyone have him as a top 5 pick. Okay? But that's all we kept hearing about leading up to the draft, how this kid was a top 5 pick. So you set him up to fail to begin with and the drop. And then, he's a high-profile, highly popular kid. And just like with any employer, you're not on recruiting trips, okay? Teams are not recruiting you in the pre-draft process. And I kind of feel like that was part of the issue, that Shedeur wanted to be recruited in the pre-draft process. That's not how it works. You're applying for a job. You have to get the teams to want you. You're applying for the job. And I don't know if that was properly explained to Shedeur. And I'm not blaming Shedeur at all. He's a good kid. He really is. I think he's a good kid. I think he's got talent. But there is some development that needs to take place with his game. And there's some development off the field as well, because in the National Football League, like whatever he did in college, and this isn't just Shedeur, it's all these college quarterbacks. The stuff that you get asked to do in college versus what you're asked to do in the National Football League, it's night and day. It's not the same sport. No, it's not. But what I mean, I'm talking about study, preparation. The playbooks are infinitely more intricate in the NFL than they are in college. You can't play street ball in the NFL. Just ask Johnny Manziel. He'll tell you all about it. Also, about as much as he hated Cleveland. But he'll tell you, you can't play street ball in the NFL. That doesn't work at this level. And so it's not that from my perspective, I don't think it's that Shedeur is a bad kid or whatever. It's just he has to develop his game. And the Browns can only do so much to do that. And, from what I have heard, he's doing things outside of the facility to work on his game. He's going to fields and throwing and things like that. They do the whatever hungry dog opportunity, whatever the stupid thing is that they do after practice or whatever.
Which, are they only doing that with him and not Dylan Gabriel?
Well, I think that they're doing it with Shedeur to give him the opportunity to get some reps that they can't get. Here's the other thing people have to understand. Practices are extremely regimented. So for all the people that were, clutching their pearls a couple weeks ago when that, it came out that he's not getting a lot of practice reps, of course he's not getting practice. He's the third quarterback on the depth chart. He's the emergency quarterback. Dylan Gabriel and Joe Flacco have to be getting all those reps in practice. And there's only so many reps you can get in practice. So that's why you do the extra period, so that you can give Shedeur an opportunity to be able to throw the football around and work on some plays and work on some habits.
The whole thing, I know we got to go, and we've got the Neutral Zone coming up next, plus Todd Derry at 9. We will go all in on the Guardians before today's game. But this seems to be from everywhere. If everybody is saying the same thing about Shedeur Sanders, what would it take for the Shedeur fans to say, maybe I need to look at this a different way? Maybe not everybody's lying. Maybe it's not a vast conspiracy theory. All right, 216-474-0092. When we come back, we welcome back Mitch with the Neutral Zone. It's Rat Boy and the Hog, but no Hog today. Daryl Ryder in for Ken Carmen here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Window Nation.
on X at 92.3 The Fan and see if our hosts make your reaction a part of our shows. Powered by Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Miss one day and you miss a lot. We are the radio home of the Cleveland Browns.
Here we go, Brownies! Here we go!
92.3 The Fan. It's time for the Neutral Zone with Rat Boy and the Hawk. Crank it up and rip off the knob.
I promise 15 minutes. The rest of the show, all Guardians. I want to hear from fans. We have Todd Derry from the Derry Brothers podcast. We will go all in. Wild card week is finally here. We've got playoff baseball today. But first, Mitch.
Week 4 of the NFL here. We have a couple of stories for you guys. We have a couple of coaches getting heated earlier from this week. I want to start with this Sunday in the Texans' 26-0 win over the Titans. This was Ben Johnson in an exchange with Aditi Kinkhabwala on CBS Sports.
Your offense has struggled to take advantage of those takeaways.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did you tell them to get things going?
That it wasn't our brand of football. We're capable of a lot more, and so we're hitting the reset button here at halftime, and we're going to come back and establish our identity here in the second half.
So you need to change what you're doing.
I don't know. You think so? We're going to be just fine.
Bit of a weird situation there at the end between the two, but
boy, the internet had a lot to say about this particular back and forth. Aditi, of course, big time friend of the show. So eventually we'll have Aditi on, and by then it could be old news. I enjoy this. You know, people were mad at her. People were mad at him. Guys, it's football. It's supposed to be fun for us, the fans. You don't love this? I absolutely love confrontational stuff between a coach, and they were struggling. And yeah, we don't get anything out of these halftime interviews ever, so this one was actually fun.
I hate halftime interviews because it's all coach speak and whatever, and you know that's a tough spot for our friend Aditi to be in there with that response that she got. But like,
it's also her job.
That's her job, is to get like to the nitty gritty of what's going on. So I'll be honest with you, I don't view that exchange as a negative at all. I think it's a positive. She has a job to do to ask the question, and I also don't have a problem with the response. Nice to hear the coach show a little emotion.
What's amazing to me, these coaches never have a sense of humor about things.
Oh, no.
They as if Ben Johnson's life is going to be in disarray if they lose some football games and eventually he gets so he's going to go back to being $1 million a year OC. I'm sure he's going to be fine. Like, lighten up a little bit. Come on, have a sense of humor.
Now, we do have Johnson talking about the situation during his Monday press conference. This is what he had to say.
In the moment, I honestly didn't think too much of it. I'm kind of in game mode. But then when I look back at it, I am a little bit disappointed with what that looks like. I didn't hear very well. And that's not an excuse, but when I thought I heard, it was not a question, but that I needed to make some changes, I didn't take that very well. So I'll do a better job with those going forward.
Didn't hear very well. That's the one thing that's sticking in my brain right now.
The crowd was really loud and into the game as they were going off the field for halftime.
No, but then at the end, he basically doubled down. He's like, what I did hear was I need to change some things. Oh, really? Which is funny. We do dwell on halftime adjustments way too much in the NFL. When
can I tell you something
Peyton Manning
about halftime
said there's
adjustments?
never been a halftime adjustment.
Can I give you a little inside football here?
Go ahead, Daryl, nitty gritty.
It's very funny to watch the coaches run from the press box to the elevator to go downstairs. I think that they're downstairs in the locker room for a whopping 3 minutes before they have to run back to the elevators to get back upstairs to get to the booth in time. Halftime adjustments, that's a us thing. That's a media thing.
It totally is.
You know what guys are doing at halftime? They're getting something to drink. They're going to the bathroom, and maybe the coach for like 3 minutes is yelling at them.
Snack trays too.
Snack trays too. Right.
Baker Mayfield has the Bics out.
Well, you got to get it trimmed up.
Yeah, you got to make sure you look good.
Got to tighten it up.
Go ahead, man.
I got to correct myself because that was the Bears-Raiders game that Ben Johnson was coaching in. The Titans-Texans game that I mentioned before was lost by Tennessee, and it was not a good day for Brian Callahan and company. This is Brian Callahan in an exchange after the game.
Do you think this is a resilient and relentless football team?
I know what you're doing there, Paul. I know what you're doing, and I'm not going to answer that right now.
Well, I mean, those are the themes that you've tried to catch. This football team, you're 20-some games in, and you haven't stopped.
I'm just compose myself here before I say something I regret. But yes, I think this team is resilient. I think it is relentless. We haven't played good enough football. We have to execute at a better level. We have to coach better. That's really all I can say.
Yeah.
I saw someone say that he's off to the worst start in NFL history as a head coach through the first, how many games has it been? 21 games?
What, did he miss the first 7 games of the Chris Palmer era in 1999?
But think about Hugh Jackson.
Hugh Jackson went 1-31 to start his career.
He's 3-18.
Well, I guess he did have the Raiders year. He went 8-8.
He was 8-8.
So you just say he's 3-18.
Brian Callahan's 3-18 currently.
Hugh Jackson went 1-31. He is not off to the worst start in NFL history.
I guess you're saying it's for a first-time coach, but it's not a good situation right now. They're 0-4. Your quarterback's saying you're playing like ass, and this is you're having an exchange. You're having this exchange with reporters.
Okay, I floated it out there as a joke that if he got fired, and that's the last thing they want to do, and the guy running the organization down there, former
Could we get
Ohio,
Bill Callahan back?
Well, that's what I said. That Chad Brinker is the guy making decisions, former Ohio University running back, and they've tried to stabilize things like crazy.
You know what? Let's send that 7th-round pick we swapped with the Texans yesterday. Let's send that to Tennessee to get Bill Callahan back here.
All right.
Finally, we have the Packers and Cowboys Sunday night game go down to the wire, and it ended in a 40-40 tie. Now, a lot of people were disappointed by this, especially the way in which the Packers kind of just let the clock run out on themselves. They got lucky with a pass that left 1 second on the clock for the field goal. Should the NFL be adjusting its tie rule or its overtime rule?
I gotta say that I've totally flip-flopped on this. So, in the playoffs, both quarterbacks need to touch the ball. I'll go to war with anybody over that. It's too easy now with kickers that are able to go 70 yards almost on field goal range. Like, you got to let both quarterbacks touch the football. Regular season, I might be ready for sudden death to make its return, except
You flip-flopping.
I am flip-flopping, except in this regard. Standalone games, both quarterbacks need to touch the ball.
I got the compromise.
If it's a standalone game, both quarterbacks still have to touch. Meaning, if there are other games on, I got red zone, make it sudden death.
You're acting like a spoiled brat, right?
I am.
I have the compromise. Here it is.
It doesn't work there.
It will absolutely work. Because overtime's 10 minutes, right?
Yes.
So first 10 is fine. Then you go to another 5 minutes. That 5 minutes is sudden death. So you play basically.
So that game, Dale, that game was almost
15-minute
And then let's play 3 minutes where no one wears cleats. I mean, it's got to end at some point.
It was
guys.
4 hours.
But we
that
can't
game
have ties, Owen. Ties are the worst.
I agree. There should be no ties. Do you think?
Then do it like college.
You think ties are okay? Well, I will say college's format is entertaining. I've never heard anybody say college is.
I never wanted to go to the both sides touch it. You wanted to for years.
Well, the
because
Josh
you
Allen.
thought everybody needs a chance.
Well, Josh Allen and Patrick
Mahomes.
Mahomes.
A complete team where you have 53, you have 46 guys suited up, and if if 11 of your 46 guys can't stop the other one, who cares? That's your fault.
If you play 10 minutes and you're still tied, we're playing another 5. First team to score wins. What's wrong with that?
So what happens if no team scores in that 5?
Then you play another. You play until someone scores.
Then just go to college rules.
You know what? I never thought I'd say this. I might be.
Go to 2-point conversions. How about that?
I might have been won over. Well, that's just, in some ways, that's kind of what college is.
Get the golf carts out and have them throw the blue-painted footballs at them at this point if we're doing that.
Oh, you know what? How about penalty kicks? Place kickers.
Daryl, I want kicking out of the game completely. Part of this is
football. It's called football.
Part of this is, Daryl, the fact that because they've doctored the balls and kickers can kick from 70 yards, that they've ruined some of that. Like
reckless speculation.
You don't have to do anything on offense anymore.
You're not enjoying the 60-yard field goals? I'm loving it.
No, I am not enjoying it.
You're still seeing 56-yard kicks get missed.
We've reached the end of the neutral zone, boys, with Rat Boy and Not the Hog this week.
All right. Well, we don't have to worry about a tie today against Scooball in the wild card. Game 1, there will be a victor decided, and no ghost runners in the playoffs. We play it the on-natural way.
Play it straight.
I think they should alternate batters during that.
Well, maybe we'll ask Todd Derry. Maybe home run derby is the way to decide if they go to extra innings. Anyway, folks, baseball is back. Rest of the show devoted to your Cleveland Guardians. Game 1 of the Wild Card Series is today. We get you ready for it with Todd Derry of the Derry Brothers podcast from Odyssey. That's next on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. Anthony Lima for QC Kinetics. I say I have one regret with going to QC Kinetics is that I didn't do it earlier because I could have felt better so much sooner. I got my left shoulder dealt with. Just a couple of treatments. I was good to go. And the beauty was no surgery. Don't let them tell you surgery is your best or only option. QC Kinetics can give you real regenerative medicine. And when done correctly, it is amazing the results. In fact, 75%. Make that 95%. Make that 97%. The number continues to grow on those that have had successful treatments and are feeling better. We are talking about revitalizing your joints without having to go under the knife. And the consultation, absolutely free. Go find out if you're a candidate. Meet with Dr. Aaron Wolkoff, who's treated thousands of athletes and then regular Joes like you and me. 216-770-5488 Westlake, Independence, Beechwood, and Menor. Convenient location. and Ontario.
We were looking through the box office earlier this week. Cheapest were $80. Right now through the box office, $49 right now.
That's unbelievable. To see playoff baseball. This was a short turnaround, and your chance to see one of the best pitchers. And we all saw what happened last time. We all saw Guardians and the fans and everybody in his head. Will that be the case today? How tall of an order is today to win this all-important Game 1 of the wild card as we usher in the 2025 playoffs? Nobody better. Who's been there through thick and through thin? Todd Derry joins us right now on the Fan Hotline for the Derry Brothers podcast. Todd, feels like baseball, the smell of playoff baseball in the air here in downtown Cleveland.
Very excited, very exciting. And I'm very excited to be with you, Daryl, and you, Anthony. And if you would have told me a month ago, 3 weeks ago, I'd be making this call, I would ask you, what were you on, and could I have some?
Well, Owen made the call in July, so...
Well, I think Kenny made the call to a travel agent way back then, even when we were all burying the Guardians, because he's at Disney World.
That I'm going to Disney World video that was on the Instagram. If you're not following the 92.3 The Fan Instagram, that was worth the price of admission right there. Whoever put that together is a genius.
Ken is missing next week to go to the Magic Kingdom. He doesn't care about Guards Ball.
Well, so Todd, you're somebody who definitely cares. And look, it doesn't matter. The beauty of this today is that it doesn't matter if you're like me and you buried them way back when. It doesn't matter if you're, one of the Derry brothers who might have called for the owner to sell the team at one point. It doesn't matter. Today, we all should be on the same page. How awesome would it be to continue this historic run and to beat that guy, one of the best pitchers in baseball over the last few years, a third time in 2 weeks with the stakes as high as they possibly could be?
It would be pretty, it's going to be, like you said, a tall task for sure. But they have done it, and they have the confidence, and they're playing great baseball, obviously. I will say this, though. This is all gravy. This is bonus baseball. Okay, so I, for one, am not going to get too high or too low because I still can't fathom that they made it to the playoffs. I mean, let's talk about the fact that this team has the worst batting average in the history of baseball for playoff teams. The worst. Think about it. There's been baseball playoffs for like 120 years. This team is the worst batting average of any of those teams, and they made it to the playoffs and won their division outright. It wasn't even a tie. That was, by the way, the beauty of that final game that my brother Matt and I both were at on Sunday. The walk-off homer by Brian Rocchio that gave them the outright win. So you can't even say, well, we tied, we had the tiebreaker. They outright came back from 15.5 games to win the division and 10.5 back in the month of September. It's absolutely insane. So anything is possible. Nothing's off the table. The fact that they did what they did, why couldn't they beat Scooble a third time?
Well, they beat them with bunts and infield singles and unforced errors. Is that the formula today? Or are you like me? My gut tells me someone's gonna take him deep today.
Well, John Kenzie Noel took him deep the last time out, and I was very stunned about that. Honestly, Daryl, I think they're going to have to work the counts and get that pitch count up and get him out of there. The odds of you scoring this offense scoring more than two runs against him are slim to none. You need another superb Gavin Williams start because I think this is going to be a pitcher's duel. And once you get to the bullpens, the clear advantage in the bullpens is with the Guardians. The Tigers bullpen has really, really not been great. The Guardians took care of that. I mean, when they took 5 of 6, Will Vest, their closer, they scored. They got him in the extra innings for 4 games. Brandon Finnegan is off the IL. He was a trade deadline acquisition, is known to walk guys. I mean, they got 7th inning Paul Sewald in their pen for goodness sake. So if you can get that pitch count up with Scooble, and that's going to be a tough thing to do, and get to that bullpen, I think that's the recipe to win this game.
The Shadows. This is a 1:00 game. How big of an impact do you think the Shadows are going to be in the late innings?
Well, it's interesting because since this is 1:00...
Shadow talk, baby. I love it. That's how you know playoffs are here.
This is why Daryl is the king, because who else is asking about the Shadows? But it's a great point. because come probably fifth or sixth inning is when those shadows are going to start to creep up, and it makes it really difficult. Matt and I were at the game on Sunday, and we were talking about it, early on because it was a 3:00 start and how difficult it was, because when that pitcher is in the sun and you're in the shadow, it's really tough to pick up the ball on Scooble to begin with. It's going to be extremely tough with those shadows.
Not only that, we had some interesting news about Chase DeLauder and the fact that he's going to be available. And I love this from the Zach Meisel column today. It says, JT McGuire, the Guardians outfield coach, delivered a crash course to DeLauder on Monday afternoon with a curriculum on the Cleveland outfield, on the green padded wall, on where and how the grass meets the dirt track, on shadows and routes and footwork, jumps and angles, wind patterns, along with hitter tendencies and third decks and sellout crowds.
That was quite a mouthful there. No, you know
best what? Best organization for a reason, right?
That's right. I will say that the Chase DeLauder thing, to me, I absolutely love it. Let's go. These two teams know each other so unbelievably well. This would be their third series in the last 2.5 weeks, to your point. The one person that the Tigers have no book on, because nobody has a book on, is Chase DeLauder. We can't forget, he was tearing it up until he got hurt. He's still one of the top 100 prospects in baseball. No one's seen him. And if somehow you can catch that lightning in a bottle, why not? I mean, it'd be a different story if it was Albert Bell, Kenny Lofton, and Manny Ramirez out there in the outfield. But when center field is essentially a platoon of Angel Martinez and Daniel Schneemann and maybe George Valera and Petey Halpin are playing, why couldn't? What's the difference? They're all unproven. Let's see what the kid can do. I'm not saying throw him out there and play him and hit him cleanup, but hey, why not? I mean, George Valera's been up for 2 weeks. He's done an excellent job. So I have no problem with this DeLauder move, and I think it is a lottery ticket worth having on the roster. I go back to 2022. They didn't use him, but Bo Naylor spent basically the entire season in AAA, and then they brought him up as the third catcher. Just kind of to get a feel of what it was like to be in that big league clubhouse and around the team. They're also possibly just doing that for DeLauder, but I think even the thought of having him gives the Tigers an extra thing that they have to worry about.
For both these pitchers, and we're talking to Todd Derry, it's their third consecutive start. Gavin Williams might have been his best performance, even though he went 6 innings to strike out, 12 guys. He had a total command. So they have confidence in that regard. On the other side of things, for the lineup, I love how you sometimes had some bold takes on what you want to see that lineup look like today. We haven't seen it officially posted as of yet. What do you think, Todd, today? What makes sense in this third go-around? Well,
they're going to play John Kenzie Noel. I don't love him. He did have the big homer last year, and he did homer off of Scooble in one of these games in the last 2 weeks. So I think John Kenzie will most likely be out there. You got to have Manzardo DHing. So if Noel is going to be in this lineup, I would far prefer having him at first base. I think that if you're a casual to this team, you don't know, but if you're a hardcore fan like myself and Owen, you know that Kyle Manzardo plays first base. To put it mildly, he's not the greatest first baseman.
It's charitable, yes.
Yes, and I don't want to be giving up in games of this magnitude. You cannot afford to give your other team free outs, so you have to have him at either. If this is going to be that right-handed lineup, I wouldn't be surprised if Jonathan Rodriguez, J-Rod, is out there in right field playing hitting cleanup like he did twice this weekend against lefties. And John Kenzie Noel was at first and Manzardo was DHing. That's not going to surprise me one bit. And I know we're all freaking out and thinking, are we really going to be in a playoff game with Jonathan Rodriguez in cleanup? But I come back to what I just said. Who's that much better? Seriously. I mean, again, it is Jose Ramirez, Kyle Manzardo, Stephen Kwan, and a bunch of question marks. So it's a shot in the dark, but J-Rod's got a hot bat, so why not?
Which Guardian not named Jose Ramirez and Stephen Kwan has to be the X factor in this series, not lineup?
I am going to go with Brian Rocchio.
Do it.
And I'll tell you why. He's hitting ninth at the bottom, 8th or 9th at the bottom of the order, which basically turns it back over after one time. So it's having that second leadoff hitter. He's a switch hitter, so he's always going to be out there. Defensively, he's a gem. But if you can get what they are calling October Rocchio, this is the team calls him that.
Yeah.
Welcome back, October Rocchio. If he can do what he did last October again, then the Guardians offense, it takes it to a completely different level. You have to get some production out of somebody that is not named Jose Ramirez and Steven Kwan and Kyle Manzardo, and I think Rocchio's going to be that guy.
We all remember the 6th inning, which might end up defining the season for the Guardians, everything they went through, the adversity of the David Fry situation. But I also remember in that inning, they had 3 different guys sent up basically the bunting brigade to try to lay those down. And I just heard the disgust in your voice, but it worked. What is the situation this time? Because it feels like you're not going to get that lucky again.
No, I mean, that 6th inning was literally the most 2025 Guardians of them all. Scoring 3 runs without hitting a ball out of the infield and just the voodoo magic. I'm anti-bunt. Anybody who listens to the podcast, Derry Brothers Guardians Cast, on Odyssey, by the way, if you know, you know. Bunting is for losers. I've been saying it for years. I only endorse certain bunts with certain people at certain times. I do not understand why Terry Francona did this, why Stephen Vogt allows this. If I am the manager of this team in 2025 in general, unless I tell you to bunt, swing the bat. And Steven Kwan is such a great hitter and puts the ball in play. For the life of me, I don't understand why he's always trying to bunt. I couldn't understand why Angel Martinez, who's better from the right side, 100 points better, was trying to bunt in that situation. They're going to have to score runs the conventional way to get this game. I'm completely against bunting, unless your name's Will Wilson, who's not on the playoff roster, or Hedgie in certain situations.
I right now am praying that the Guardians win this series on a bunt.
We just won a game on a hit batsman. I mean, everything's in play right now.
It's true. And you know what? I would be over the moon to be wrong and to win on a bunt. That would be fantastic. But again,
what if the Guardians won the World Series on a bunt?
I don't care if they win the World Series, on a wild pitch, whatever. Just win me a World Series. I don't care. But the most Guardians, you brought it up. C.J. Kafis getting hit by a pitch on a walk-off to score Petey Halpin. Like we all drew it up in late March, right?
Yeah. All right, finally, and Todd has been through thick and through thin. Should I ask him what I asked Curtis Danberg earlier today?
I think you have to
power rank the all-time playoff moments in Progressive Field.
Yeah, it's a great question.
Okay, Todd, you got the music.
All right, are we going to bottom to top or top to bottom here?
It's a Todd-based ranking. You can do it either way.
All right, so I'm going to do number 1 overall, Rajai Davis's home run. I've said it many times. Other than the birth of my children, it's the greatest moment of my life. I was with my brother. I literally jumped into his arms and wrapped my legs around him and cried. It was so amazing. That's number 1. Number 2, if you were there in '97, you remember how amazing that series was. The walk-off bunt, fake bunt attempt by Omar Vizquel. That was an incredible. I would put that at number 2. I would put David Fry number 3, but you got to combo that with John Kenzie because those are it's the same game, but those are one moment for me. And then I'm going to go off the grid here, non-playoff game.
Whoa.
The Albert Bell 95 walk-off grand slam off of Lee Smith. It was the first of the most incredible, 95 Indians walk-off moment, that walk-off grand slam by Albert Bell. If you were in the park, probably the loudest that park had ever been.
No love for Tony Pena.
Yeah, I said Tony Pena because it ushered in the new era in the postseason. I see what you're saying.
Okay.
You're saying play, but that was like a welcome to what this place could be like come October.
And it happened at 1 a.m.
I was going to say I was there. It was very late, and I will say this: I kind of forgot about that, so that absolutely deserves to be on the list. And in my office, I have framed photos of all the great moments in Indian/Guardians history, and I do have one of Tony with his arms in the air. So that absolutely deserves to be in the top 5. My bad.
All right, Todd, you got me fired up. I got some chills. I got to be honest. Towards the end there, I got the chills. That place is going to be absolutely rocking. I know short turnaround, but that place will still be full. It will still be loud. And I said, all the nice guy Scooble stuff that ended last week. That was a great story. That was nice. Now it's playoff time. That crowd better be on him from the start.
I agree, and I will say this: if you're going to the game, if you were there this weekend, these crowds were amped this weekend. Oh, and you were at the games this weekend, right?
I was, yes.
I mean, didn't you think the crowd was already in October form?
It's felt like for 2 weeks, the last 2 weekends, the crowd was in October form. Yeah,
and if you are contemplating going, there is nothing better than October baseball. Being there, it is just so electric. I know it was the World Series, but that Rajai Davis moment, you can't get a natural high like that. You just can't. And you could in playoff baseball.
And Scooble and Hinch, they already talked about the crowds in Cleveland. I think to some extent, the team and the fans might already be in their heads a little bit, which isn't going to be needed because this is a great pitch you're going up against. Thank you, Todd. Love it.
You got it, boys. Have a great one.
All right, Todd Derry from the Derry Brothers podcast. You can check it out. Terrific job. That got me pumped up. Daryl's pumped. Owen's pumped. Mitch even threw away his Yankee cap for a day. Even he is pumped. I want to hear from fans. 216-474-0092. He said, Rocchio, can you give me a guy other than the obvious that can help jumpstart this offense and hopefully keep history going, the improbable? Can this Guardians team continue on at least another week? Hell, why stop there? It's playoff baseball. Where else would you rather be than here in Cleveland on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan?
92.3 The Fan.
Weeknights at 7. Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Everything you guys have been through, you should get to party twice. You get punched in the face, and every time we punch right back, we get up and we fight. Division freaking champs, boys, and we ain't done.
Line drive, base hit, right field. Bo Naylor breaks the tie. Jose scores. Manzo scores. 4-2 Cleveland.
Sharing these moments that never get old. Man, I'm just so happy to be able to do it with this group of guys the way we fought this whole season.
Left field, near the line. Long run for Quan. Oh, what a catch he just made.
Special. I think momentum's a really important thing, and hopefully we can all remember this feeling, remember those swings, just the momentum of what we got. I think we're going to be dangerous.
Rocked. High in the air. Deep right. Perez back at the wall. He's out of room. It's out of here. Jose Ramirez.
What does Cleveland mean to you?
Cleveland is the best. I love Cleveland.
And Cleveland loves you.
It's my house. Cleveland is my house.
I told you I had chills. We've had so many great postseason moments, and now we have another chance to write the next chapter, and that starts, man, it's 9:25 right now, 1:08. So we are getting closer and closer to Guardians playoff baseball.
You don't want to do the math on that?
I didn't do it in time. I got to be honest. 3+ hours.
3 hours, 40 minutes.
Yeah, we'll leave it there. 3+ hours. Okay, so today it's game one, and it's a matchup we've seen. You know, both these pitchers, the numbers look pretty damn good against each other. Gavin Williams, last time out, struck out 12. And Skubal is Skubal. Like, I don't think we're going to be hitting him around the ballpark or anything. I do wonder, and Owen has been on this about, are you in his head? And can the crowd get in his head? And it's been twice. To do it 3 times, you really, truly have done something miraculous if you beat that guy a third time.
I think the entire crowd should chant David Fry's name.
They got to put him on the scoreboard, right? That moment is something that was a pretty damn big moment in baseball last week. And the fact that, you know, there was a hush on the crowd. We talked about the playoff crowds that were coming in at the end of the season. The fans answered the call from the manager. They sold out 2 of those games. They were unbelievable crowds. I was watching on television, and you could tell it felt like playoff atmosphere. And you wonder, Skubal's had only the Guardians in his head this entire time, because that was part of how they blew the division. Yeah. And they still made the playoffs. This is what I wanted, to be honest. This is what I wanted. Now, I wanted Skubal to have to pitch in the last series for them against Boston. They elected to just yield home field advantage because they wanted Skubal to be in there.
It's partly the Astros' fault, too. The Astros knocked themselves out of contention.
Yes.
And had the Astros won that Saturday night, now the Guardians still would have made the playoffs. That would have gotten the wild card, but they could have been in it still, and that would have forced a Skubal pitching thing. But, you know.
So we didn't get that.
It is what it is.
We didn't get that, but now you're getting a guy who, it's not like the Guardians are coming into today going, we got no shot. Like, we're going up against Pedro Martinez. And I've seen that. I've seen that story before. And
remember when Pedro came out of the bully in 99?
Yes, and our lineup was way better than it is today, right?
I know.
So that was a guy pitching on another level. Skubal's been on another level for a few years now, and they've beat him twice in the last 2 weeks. That has given me hope.
He's going to win. I think he's going to win his second Cy Young. But they have the confidence. They have found ways to beat him the last 2 times out, and I have no reason to believe that they can't find a way to do it for a third time. Look, I mean, I think they kind of cracked the code a little bit. I really do. Force Detroit's infield to play and make plays. And it's worked the last 2 times out. Who's to say it can't work a third time? I respect Skubal. I recognize his greatness, but I am not going into this game thinking this is an insurmountable climb for the Guardians this afternoon. Not at all.
All right, now I asked the fans to call in at 216-474-0092 as we get closer to playoff baseball today. I asked Todd Derry who needed to be the X factor. I feel bad. I probably talked over the clip, so we'll see how good Mitch's editing skills are, because he took the words right out of my mouth.
Which Guardian not named Jose Ramirez and Steven Kwan has to be the X factor in this series?
I am going to go with Brian Rocchio.
Do it.
He's hitting 8th or 9th at the bottom of the order, which basically turns it back over after one time. He's a switch hitter, so he's always going to be out there. Defensively, he's a gem. But if you can get what they are calling October Rocchio, then the Guardians' offense, it takes it to a completely different level. You have to get some production out of somebody that is not named Jose Ramirez and Steven Kwan and Kyle Manzardo, and I think Rocchio's going to be that guy.
All right, Mitch, you had a different nickname. You said Mitch is always all over the internet.
I don't know the pronunciation specifically, but I've heard a lot of people say Rocktober instead of that.
It should be Rocktober.
Rocktober,
right?
Yes.
Yeah,
I would think.
Rocktober's been around for 1,000 years.
Yeah. The radio stations have done that once,
especially when you're trying to buy Rockford Fodskate speakers in 1998 for your 1992 Dutch Dynasty.
Exactly.
What would I know?
But why is it that we would have that belief in Rocchio? Well, last year put good swings on the ball, good at bats.
He was hitting so well that we had the debate of should they bring him up to the 2 spot. He batted 9th, and it was one of those things when Vogt brought it up last year. It's almost like, okay, we start off the game with Steven Kwan, that's great, but then, they're not going 1, 2, 3 every time. So at some point, Rocchio becomes your leadoff man, and Kwan's the 2 guy now, and it kind of moves everybody down. I think that's still his theory with why Rocchio is where he is, but it also gives you a spot where it's not like baseball was when we were a kid, and you were like, well, the 9th batting spot's coming up. That's an easy out, right? Like, that's a free out for the team. You've got a guy down there that's making contact now and, eating 10 pitches in a pitcher that might only go 75 or 80.
Boy,
that's
you said that.
Deal.
You said that. Not only did he have an 8-game hitting streak last year in the postseason against Detroit, and then into the Yankee series, the walks. He was drawing walks. He drew 2 walks, actually 3 walks in the Yankee series.
Yeah.
So this guy sees pitches. He was delivering, and he was one of those unsuspecting heroes that you can get in the postseason.
He's, and I talk about my youth coaching exploits, but he's a guy that I tell all the younger kids that struggle to, they want to be power hitters, and you're not because you're not advanced yet, right? But go watch his at-bats and watch how he works pitch counts, and it's amazing what he does when he's on. And, you guys got on me early in the year because I said I need a break from Brian Rocchio. Brian Rocchio needed a break from the Cleveland Guardians for a minute, from Major League Baseball for a minute. He went down to Columbus. He cleared his head. It also gave Arias the chance to step into the shortstop spot and kind of take that over and become that guy. And since he's come back, the middle infield has been, been one of the main strengths of the defensive team, and his bat has been especially, when you bounce one off the foul pole. And have you seen the side-by-side with the Santa Maria?
Oh, yeah.
It's the same swing. It's hitting the same spot. The difference is one was a playoff game and one wasn't, but the same amount of magnitude, and the crowd went the same amount of crazy.
Yeah, and you mentioned the defense. I mean, the defense was just a total joke for this team for many months to start the season. But you're right, they solidified, the middle of the infield, and after that, it's amazing how everything started looking so much better. Let me get to the phones. I want to hear from the fans on this. I want to check in on you guys. How are you feeling today? We started the show at 6 a.m. I wanted to find out confidence-wise, because you're still underdogs. You're underdogs in the series. You're underdogs today. We know how important Game 1 is. And who else? We know Jose's got to step up. We know Kwan's got to step up. Who else needs to step up? Troy in Zanesville. Thank you for being patient. You're next up on a Wild Card Tuesday edition of the show. What's up, Troy?
Go Padres, baby. Woo!
Yeah, that's probably the end of that now.
Padres? I missed something here. What did I miss? Is that an inside joke?
Not only do I not know, I don't care about them.
Okay. I was confused.
Who's screening calls here?
Well, I'm sure he lulled poor young Mitch into a false sense of security. Either way, I could see it already outside. I'm seeing people start to make their way down. And look, this playoff baseball, man. If you can't get into this, Daryl, what are you squinting?
I wanted to see. No, I wanted to see what the garage was charging for parking across
they don't put it out front anymore. It's all digital now.
It's monthly parking only.
Yes.
Oh, they don't have to sign up. I mean,
I'm sure over on East 9th, they weren't out this morning. there are mornings when we drive in during the playoffs that the signs are out already, right?
I really need to own a parking lot in downtown Cleveland.
We got up to $100 famously for the World Series run against the Cubs. They were taking money from the Cubs fans.
I'm gonna say $75 today.
Oh, come on. I'm not.
We're going to see 60 for sure.
Yeah.
Think so?
Especially
100%. Yeah,
over
absolutely.
off of East 9th, you'll see that 60 to 75, yeah.
Absolutely.
Zach in Cleveland. Next up on the Fan. How are you, Zach?
Cleveland, get up! We got playoff baseball. A month ago, nobody thought this was going to be a possibility. This team was dead and gone, buried, and they're back from the dead, ready to win the frickin' World Series. Let's go, Cleveland. Get up. Come on, Sam. Let's go.
Part of it, Zach, thank you for the call. Part of it is when you erase that kind of a deficit, 15 and a half games, it does make you think anything is possible. Like,
it makes you feel invincible.
Yeah, there's no way anybody is like, well, we can't beat Scooble a third time. What the hell? I mean, we've done something no team in Major League Baseball history has done. And then Todd, on the other side of things, and maybe this isn't so good, or maybe you see this as being able to do anything under any circumstances, they also have the worst batting average in the history of the majors to actually make the postseason. So there are a lot of metrics, a lot of markers that this team has been able to hit that you have to say, like, anything is possible. I know people...
That's why they play the games, man. Never say never.
Well, and think about what is Milwaukee's payroll? I know payroll is something a lot of people will use to discount their chances because, you know, the Yankees payroll and every year the Dodgers payroll. Okay, but, you know, you have two teams here that are hovering around $120 million that are not only into the playoffs, but, you know, are going to have a significant say over how these playoffs go. So that is something like I did not understand last week when people were fighting back when I lavished all this praise on the Guardians and people wanted to talk payroll. It just made no sense to me.
$121 million for the Brewers, according to Spotrac.
And what's the Mets payroll? And what's the Rangers
Which ranks,
payroll?
by the way, that ranks 17th in Major League Baseball. The Mets are second behind the Dodgers at $343.3 million.
All right, they're lining up on the phones. Instead of coming in hot, let's come in hot for the Guardians. I want to hear some Guardians fans.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. 216-474-0092. We'll see if we get you any more in the way of what the lineup is going to be today. Nothing official yet from the Guardians. We've had some speculation, but of course we'll relay that to you as we get you ready for Cleveland Guardians playoffs, 2025 playoffs in the MLB. Gonna get underway today at 1:08 right here in downtown Cleveland. Your calls, your reaction next here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Brad Evans here to help you beat the books with the BetMGM Network. The Reds earned the final wild card spot. One player to look at in particular is Miguel Andujar. In 93 plate appearances against left-handers this season, Andujar slashed a 3.9 batting average, 5.78 slug, and 986 OPS. I will take his HRR over 1.5 at a cool plus 115. Bet smarter, beat the books. Download the BetMGM app today.
Now that I'm a dad, I can't stop thinking about what would happen to my kids if something happened to me, like losing the house or not affording.
Sign up to be a part of the Fan Club. Download the free Odyssey app and follow 92.3 The Fan to get all of the best audio and best stories sent straight to your inbox. 92.3thefan.com.
I know what they got. They know what I got. So there's really no advantages or disadvantages. We play them so many times throughout the whole year. So we're going to take it one inning at a time, one pitch at a time. Having all the fans out there, I was turning my pitch comm up to 20 and I could barely hear it. So luckily, when I couldn't hear it, they were just mashing the button as many times as possible just for me to hear the pitch. So past month, it's been unbelievable having the fans here.
I love what I hear from Gavin Williams. Obviously, love what I've seen out of Gavin Williams.
Had to turn that pitch comm up to 20 just so he could hear the clicks of what pitch he's supposed to throw.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's why I have confidence. Look, if I just out of nowhere parachuted in, I saw Guardians were going up against Scooball today, yeah, I'd be a little nervous. But we've all seen what's happened over the last few weeks. There is nothing. Now, how could anybody doubt this team? Like, how could anybody doubt this team under any circumstances whatsoever?
I'm the one sitting here saying they're beating Scooball today.
Well, I said...
Third time in a row, they get a clean sweep them.
I started out the show by saying I totally understand why they're underdogs. Normally, baseball, they take emotion out of it. We don't deal in emotion when it comes to setting the odds on these things, and it's just Scooball, but it's not like he's a huge favorite. I mean, they are given some respect to Gavin Williams and the Guardians. And look, the lineup is the lineup. Right. They have to scratch and claw and do it by any means necessary. Thing is, we've seen them do it. We have seen them do just that. And now they have a chance today to continue on what is, I think, now fair to say, a historic run. Already what they've been able to do. I won't agree with Todd. Todd Derry came on with us. If you have the rewind function on the Odyssey app, you can go back. He said it's all gravy. I don't think it's all gravy. I want more. I want to be greedy. It's not that it's all gravy. I want to be greedy. I want more, and I think they have a chance to do that. And think about this time tomorrow. This time tomorrow, we could be thinking about being up 1-0 and going to the ALDS.
The greatest moments come from the unexpected fashion, out of nowhere. That's where this season has come from. And look, I'm a believer that when the World Series drought ends, it's going to be just like the Cavs. It's going to be one of those historic, out of nowhere, down 3-1, comeback for the ages. You've had to come back for the ages already here in the regular season. Now, hey, what if they were to parlay that into a World Series run? It's possible. I don't discount it. I realize the offense is what the offense is, but the pitching's been great. So I never say never.
All right, you want to go to the phones? You want to get pumped up? What do you want to hear? I think the Guardians fans today, especially ones that are making their way down.
I think the Guardians fans right now are coming in hot. Looking at the phones, I think they're coming in hot.
All right, let's go. Let's go to Pac-Man in Paynesville. Go ahead. Lead us off here. Final segment of the show.
Mr. Dangerous, Anthony, today's a good day. Most importantly, game one is a must-win, so we need to take care of that. And thank goodness for the Guardians distracting us from that hot mess that's coming out of Berea, right, guys? Well, and I would like to say that you guys aren't too bad, for some football guys. I've been love you guys.
I mean, Daryl was breaking down the shadows.
You guys are football guys.
Thank you. Thank you, manager, who we're hoping can make another run. Can we get another coach of the year? It seems like they grow on trees out here. Mike in Cleveland, next up on the Fan.
Hey, guys, listen, don't get me wrong, I'm an Indians Guardians fan all my life. But I just can't see them beating Scooball 3 times, and then, they got a lot of rally killers.
Oh, come on, Mike, that's not the attitude you need to have.
No one's not going to hear that happening.
Not happening in the last segment before we go out and face Derek Scooball.
Let's go.
Not gonna do it.
Yeah, let's go. Mike in Lorain, you're next up.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hey.
I disagree with the other guy. It's not a must-win. We'll win in 3. We're better. Scooball's good. Fine. Maybe we'd win. Maybe we don't. We got him on the next 2. The players to watch, though, are Manzardo. We're going to have guys ahead of him on base. He needs to come through with some deep shots or some gap shots. And Noel, I hope we don't ever see him again. I think he's going to hurt us. Sobrowski, I'm a little bit nervous about him, but if we get to the second half, the back half of the bullpen, we're in good shape.
All right. All right. Yeah, if this game goes to the bullpen, both teams in the 7th inning, how you feeling?
Oh, it's going to. It's playoff baseball. That's what we do now. In the playoffs, you go to your bullpens, and both managers, especially today, have to manage the game. If it's a close game, you have to manage it like you're moving on past this round. You can't, the Guardians have been living on this one game at a time, one day at a time thing. I don't know if that mentality is going to continue. Great. If it flips and they go into this now, let's look down the road thing, because the 6-man rotation got us to this point, but you're not going to do it anymore. There's no point of it now.
What are we paying Paul Sewald? $7 million? We need something. We need something for that money, right? We need to get something out of this. Colton in Cuyahoga Falls. Guardians wild card game 1 coming up today. Go ahead, Colton.
Good morning, gentlemen. My predictions. Tarek Skubal, we are going to be in his head. This man has so much PTSD from the Guardians the past few weeks. We are giving him phantom nightmares between everything with David Fry and all the hits that we get on him. We are in his head. We got them right where we want them, and we're going to take them to the cleaners, and we're going to lay the smackdown tonight. Thank you, gentlemen.
I love it. Thank you,
the
Colton.
Optimism. That's what we need. This is what we need.
All right. Did they exchange phone numbers? Because if they were able to exchange phone numbers when Skubal did the really nice thing and went and saw him in the hospital, are you not pranking him all night? Are you not doing everything you can to keep him up? You got to mess with him. Any competitive advantage at all today? Josh?
Did anyone pull the fire alarm at the hotel this morning?
That goes without saying. Do we know where they were staying? I know we can't say it on the radio.
Where they're staying.
We can give some hints. Josh in Berea. Go ahead, Josh. Welcome to the show.
What's up, guys?
What's going on?
First off, doesn't this feel like Major League? Like, it literally does. This is the first time in my life as a Guardians/Indians fan. Usually when the Guardians/Indians make the playoffs, they're a good team. They're really a good team. They don't really resemble the Major League squad in the movie. But this team feels like the unwritten script from Major League that they actually win the World Series. Because the batting average, ask Mitch, ask all the baseball guys. It doesn't make sense. The batting average is the worst in the history of playoffs, and we made it down 15.5? Come on. How do you not love this? How do you not get up for this? This is blue collar to the freaking T. Let's go. Guards ball. Hit by pitch walk-off. Reikio. That's my nickname. He's going to rake them in. Let's go, guys. Why do you not wake up for this and get excited? I want to talk about the Browns. I want to talk about the Guards.
Let's go, Josh. Let's go. Here we go.
That's what we need.
That's how you fire them up. That's how you fire them up right there. All right. Game 1 coming up today. Do not have the lineups officially yet, although I think in the next half hour or so we should have them. Baskin and Phelps, stay tuned. Jeff Thomas in the updates. Guys, what's better than playoff baseball? Having a home game, people making their way down already. When I get out of here, I'm going to see people across the street probably opening one up already to get started. Owen, are you going to a pub near you?
I started hour 3.
I guarantee you the T-shirt and hat stands are set up on East 9th Street right now.
Yeah. We coming in hot? We coming in hot tomorrow. You know what? If they can beat, how about this? If they beat Skubal today, do you want to start the show with coming in hot at 6 a.m.? Do you think we'll hear from Kenny?
Oh, I'm sure. Sure Ken will be there tomorrow. Of course.
He says he's beatboxing away down in Florida.
Miska, Muska, Kenska, going to spend the playoffs with me in Disney World.
All right, thank you to everybody for today. Daryl Ryder in. I think I got Baskin tomorrow. Is that right?
We do.
John Greco, Todd Derry. We bounced them all. We got all the teams in, but now it's time to focus. It's time to get dialed in. It is Guardians Baseball 2025 MLB playoffs. We are just over 3 hours away here at home, here in downtown Cleveland. Where would you rather be than here on the lakefront, right here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan?
Hey, sounds good.
Where's your entourage now?
Cool, I got on the last show.
Loser town, loser fans, and you guys are a loser show. Cleveland mean to you?
Cleveland is the best. I love you, Cleveland.
And Cleveland loves you.
It's my house. Cleveland is my house.
This is Boomer Esiason with an Odyssey Sports Minute. What a wild weekend in college football, folks. Oregon pulled off a 30-24 double overtime road upset of Penn State on Saturday night. Number 17, Alabama upset number 5, Georgia in Athens, 24-21. Now, that narrow victory may have narrowly saved Kalen DeBoer's job in Tuscaloosa, temporarily at least. Boomer Esiason.
Are you a parent of a 2 to 8-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting offer, then head to abcmouse.com/radio to learn more. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the award-winning online learning program.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one